Okay, welcome out, welcome out, welcome everyone. I see everyone in the comments, I see everyone in the chat. Thanks for coming out and welcome. We're gonna have a good time tonight. We're gonna learn a lot. I'm actually gonna drill down and do a lot of cool stuff tonight with all of you. We've got some time tonight. We're gonna get into some cool stuff that you may or may not have learned before, and I'm excited about this. So I see everyone in there. Joey, I see you, Carol, Ellie, Laura, Linda, thanks for popping on. And we everyone in the chat. Thanks for coming out and welcome. Boom. Okay, cool. Got it. And I see Carmen in there, Raymond. Let's see, John Newton. I see you, buddy. And I got some cool people with me today. I got some really cool people with me today. So first off, as you can see down to the lower right of your screen, you see my man Max. Come on out, Max. And Max just is fresh off our Epic Story Academy experience, and I asked him to come on out. He had some amazing breakthroughs and such that we'll get into in a little bit. But real quick, how you doing, Max?
I'm doing awesome. It's an honor to get this last-minute invitation on this. Like literally, Chris shot me a text message about 45 minutes ago. Hey, you want to jump on with me? I was just like, absolutely. I had to take my son to karate class, so class was over at 5:45. I was back here by 6 o'clock, ready to rock. And yeah, I mean, this is for those of you guys that are watching this, like, grab your notebooks, get ready to learn some awesome stuff, because the breakthroughs that I had at the Epic Story Academy were insane, and I'm sure that this is going to be another one of those breakthrough moments that I just can't like stand up and walk out of the room and.
We'll save that one. Although we'll leave an open loop there, because that was the most hilarious part of the whole that I was literally couldn't even keep it together, laughing so hard on stage. And here I'm attempting to teach a seminar. It's pretty funny. Oh, that was so awesome. Hey,
it was great.
Okay, we'll get into it, but that was something. If you guys want to stick around at least for anything else, that story. So real quick, I also have in the house, in the studio, come on out, we have Yeong. All of you, Yeong. Yeong.
Jeong.
See, I always say Jeong, and then so like
Jeong, like Jesus Christ.
Everyone says Jeong.
Young coconut, young. So Jeong.
Jeong.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if it was Yeong or Jeong.
Jeong.
Jeong. See, I've been mispronouncing her name for like ever. And so I finally like got it right this time, So we had to bring her to the house. And I had to be like, all right, how the heck do you say this thing? So she's in the studio, the home office studio. And not much of a studio, just another. We got a bed in here.
I didn't know this.
A whiteboard. You were thinking it was like some professional studio, huh?
Yeah.
No, that's how.
Oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah. It's kind of cool to walk in here and go, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't report.
It's messy, just like anything else. And we actually have the stand that my laptop is sitting on.
Yeah.
Is my ironing board. Most of you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and take the camera, and I'm gonna show all of you that real quick, so you guys realize how. Now, see the room. We've got the cool room that's full of messes and everything else, right? And so we've got here, but then if we get down here, you see this. This is the ironing board that, and then you see beautiful Irina monitoring the chat, monitoring the comments. and this is literally, guys, how I've done multiple six figures. It's just like this.
So cool.
With the exception of going into the cool studio with the Launchman and recording the product and doing a webcast there, this has literally been everything. And the reason I show you all that is just, to really be like, well, this is how fun and cool it is and how easy this is, that there's like people get caught up in, like, oh, you got to get all this fancy equipment and you got to like figure all this technical stuff out. And I'm literally have my laptop on my ironing board.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how you got your camera so centered with your whiteboard, and the secret is ironing board. That's awesome. I'm so copying that.
It really is the secret of it all. Yeah. And so sometimes I've taken the TV, the screen, and set it on the ironing board as well, for the camera. And so this is like, you know what? It doesn't matter anything other than it's the content that matters. And all of you can do this from home as well, very simply. And like I said, the ironing board, which came with the apartment. I literally didn't even, like, this was free. I'm using a free ironing board to shoot all this stuff on. And I nailed up the whiteboard that literally has pieces missing out of the corner of it. And so I just, you know, screwed it in to make sure it didn't fall off. So anyways, love to have you out. She's been hanging out in Frisco for like the last week. And so we were like, we got to have you out. We got to have you over. And so now we're having a live cast. And you were also at Epic Story Academy with us just a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what that was like for you. Just a quick, how the experience was. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was so organized and so like a clean and detailed style. So because actually like a year ago I came, or kind of similar, right? But it was like first time thing. So it was great. Also, I had a big breakthrough. So it shifted my life, actually, that event. But like this time still, you know, I'm like still like in the comfort zone and not really doing things. I learned it and I had my shift in my life and, you know, life has changed, but still like doing the work. But this time it was all like with a printed out thing, with all the outline. I can just fill in the blank and I just do it. So this time I feel so much confident to do it, follow the direction, right?
Awesome.
So it was like amazing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys hear that? So that's what we have in store for you. Is it actually makes sense. It's not a 3-hour rambling.
Yeah.
Well, tonight might be, but the curriculum itself is actually laid out and organized and put in frameworks for people to understand, and the type of comments I'm getting back. I mean, some of you all can go ahead and put in the comments right now your experiences of how you felt the content itself inside the Epic Story Funnel was just amazing. Or if you didn't like it, let me know, be real, be honest. Like we always teach you to be totally authentic and honest. And we may just call out, you know, a few of what you guys have to say in the chat as well. And obviously we'll be taking some questions a little later. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
All right, so she's here. So you all know Young is here in spirit.
Young.
I'm, swear to God, I'm gonna do
Jesus Christ, Young.
So we're gonna have some fun tonight, and yeah, very cool. I'm looking at some of the Ellie, trade secret. Yes, ironing board for webcast. This ironing board has made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you know, that's how we roll. All right. So I've got some cool stuff for you guys tonight, and I'm gonna start jumping right into it here. And what I want to do is not waste any more time really in getting rolling here, but I really want to start jumping into what it is that you're gonna learn tonight and why it's going to be so effective for you. And so some of you may have looked at your email and seen the you know, the 10 things you're gonna learn tonight. And as you guys know me being a total neat freak about stuff. I'm actually not a neat freak at all. I'm actually very disorganized. But now I got the camera right. All right, we have these 10 things. And before I get to those, I want to tell you a little bit why I'm doing this and where we're coming from tonight. Because tonight is finally a culmination of a lot of things in this whole curriculum and how telling stories is absolutely the most powerful thing you can do. And I wanted to prove it to you tonight. I wanted to show you, actually open up some of the stuff I have and show you what I've got and why it's worked so well, and talk about it and show you some of the stuff that, had I known this so long ago, I wouldn't have struggled for years and years and years in this industry. And it's the funny thing that I got at Epic Story Academy and so many other things is people would come up to me and said, if I only had this when I started, right? If I only had this when I started. And, you know, I wish I had it when I started, you know? And the funny thing is I did really stumble upon this by accident. I'm going to tell you guys that story really quickly. A lot of you've heard it. And so I'm not going to tell the same story, but I'm actually going to do a little bit of a different version. So for those of you who are like, oh my God, you know, here's that story. No, it's not going to be a long 26-minute story like we did before. I'm just going to give you an overview real quick because I really want to get into teaching you what this is, but you need to know how this happened. And within telling this, you're going to see how easy this actually can be, because the long and short of it was I was struggling in my business, and I was at a company event. And, you know, on that Friday night, I set my intention. I sat down on the curb of the street, watching the cars go by. And I was essentially like, I got to know what it is that's holding me back. I couldn't really turn the corner in my business. I couldn't really make a full-time income. I couldn't make things happen the way I thought I could, the way I thought I was capable of, the way I thought I was, had the potential to be. And even in my other friends telling me, hey, you're so full of potential, you could easily do this. And little did I know that I was almost taking refuge in that safety of, oh yeah, I could do it, but I wasn't really living into it yet. And so throughout the course of the weekend, I had certain things happen to me where even my friend Rob, who was on stage, was, walking us through an exercise, and I had like this flash where I saw myself back when I was like 4 years old, around in my mother's daycare, and all these other people, the boys in the daycare that were a year or two older than me, all like rejecting all the crazy things I'm saying about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to achieve, what I wanted to be when I grow up, and all that stuff. I didn't realize how much of a limiting belief that held for me, that, a lot of people actually have, that I see that a lot of people deal with, that they're really afraid of what, if they really reveal themselves, what are people going to think? And how are they going to react? Are they going to be accepted anymore? And I saw that moment at the time when I saw it, and I was like, I didn't really know how to use that for my business yet. But then the next thing came, and that was, I had a friend who was with me at the event, and she was checking out the company, my primary company that I was in, and every single time I was talking with someone, she'd walk away. And I just made a mental note of it, and I didn't understand it at the time. And then what I found was later, that at the end of the Sunday night of the event, we're sitting outside in the driveway of her house, which was only a couple of blocks away from the big event convention center. And, for one, I remembered looking up. I looked up in the sky, and I remembered, that I looked up at these stars on Friday, these same stars, and I saw that biggest star in the sky. And I remembered when I said to myself, I got to figure out what's going on. I got to know what it is that's holding me back. And I remember looking at that one star, the brightest star in the sky, and I said to myself, why can't I shine like that star? I remember saying that to myself on Friday, not knowing what it was. Well, Sunday night, I still hadn't had that realization yet, until I turned to my friend and I asked her, I was like, I noticed that when I was talking to people, you'd walk away a lot. And I don't know if that had anything to do with what was going on, or what I said. Was there something I said? But it seemed like you were like detracted by me. And the long and short of it, she was like, Chris, it's because you weren't being yourself. You were telling people what they wanted to hear to make them feel better, rather than totally being real with yourself, and then being real with them and telling them what they need to hear, and living your truth, and really being you, being your authentic you, and not having to sugarcoat things or talk in crypt where you're not going to step on people's toes and things like that. And it's like you weren't really being yourself, and it was tough to watch you waste your potential and your authenticity, which I know you have. And when she said it, I had this major realization where, like, it somehow, from my intention, just triggered all this stuff in my head, where it's like this near-death experience that I had. I saw like this movie screen open up in front of me. Just like people talk about, they have a near-death experience and they see their whole life flash before their eyes. And it's like I saw that, except that everything I saw was pertinent to that belief that I had about not feeling like I was good enough, not feeling like that my voice mattered, and that I could be real with myself and then be real with other people. And it was up until that point in my business, I was always marketing, trying to find the power words to say, and say the things that wouldn't be controversial or draw attention to me, and trying to find out, always, hey, what's the secrets? What do I have to say in order to get people to join me in my company, in my business? And when I saw all these moments, I realized how much pain and suffering that caused me in my life. I saw that it caused almost all the pain and suffering in business, with partnerships and relationships, romantic relationships and family and friends and everything. And I saw how that belief and the way that I acted because of it caused all this pain and suffering in my life. And so for me, it was like this major realization. I mean, I broke down in tears and I was crying for like 15, 20 minutes. And I had this one major realization. After I saw that happen, my whole life in front of me, I looked up at that star again, that bright star in the sky. Could have been a planet, for all I know. But I know it was brighter than any other star out there. And I realized it wasn't about being the best and the brightest. Because before, my intention was to want to be the top producer, want to be the star, want to be in the limelight. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted it to be about me, to be the leader. And yet I realized at that moment that that was all creations of my ego. And that those would never have been fulfilled, ever. That's a bottomless well of continuing to try to satisfy your ego and never get there. And I realized that the purpose of that star in the sky, at least for me and what it meant for me that night, was not about being the brightest, just for that sake. It was about me being the brightest so that I illuminate everyone around me. And in that moment, I realized that this really wasn't about me, and it was about my message, and about me being authentic and real with myself, and then allowing myself to be authentic and real in my marketing, in my blogs, in my emails, in my social media, all my stuff, and in life. And it's that day, there was a part of me that died. And there was another part of me that was reborn. And I woke up the next day and I started my team, which at the time I named it Team Be the Change, modeled after Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. And to me, it was really about being that change and being real, being authentic. And from there, all I did was the same stuff. And I really didn't know what the actual thing that was working so well was, because the only difference was that I was still doing my blog posts, I was still doing my emails, I was still doing my social media posts and all that, but I was telling my realizations. I was telling my story. I was telling what I struggled through and what I realized and what worked for me. And what I found, amazingly enough, is that people loved that and they were following that and they started to join, and I started to make sales. And 90 days of just doing that, not really changing my strategy at all, I looked at my bank account in January and I added everything up, and what showed was $16,075. My first 5-figure month. Explosion. And here I was at, 1 to 2,000 on a good month 90 days earlier. And so I wasn't even speaking of a lot of results in my stories. I was talking about other people's successes and tying the whole thing back around to me and my take on it and the lessons I learned from it and teaching from that story. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. So I was at that event in January and had people come up to me and they were like, what is it that you're doing? And I was actually kind of nervous because I was like, I don't know. I actually don't really know for sure what's going on as to why that works. And then finally at that event, towards the end of the event, someone comes up to me and they said, Chris, I read your story and I was so inspired that I joined your team. My name is, and they said their name. And I was like, wow, from my story. Well, what was it about my story? And you know what they said to me? And this is very, very important. If you're going to be taking notes, you want to take notes right now. Is they said, I read what you struggled through. And I know because I've been there struggling in my business and my life not really working and not really knowing why. But I knew I had a lot of potential and I knew I had a unique message and I didn't really know how to get it out there. And I didn't know how to really do it. But when I saw your story and how you realized and had this major realization, it's like, to me, you were talking to me at that moment. You were speaking to me. And I knew that you had made that post for me. Now, I made that post for a lot of people. But the point about that is that at that moment, when he said that, I realized, wait a second, when I post my stories on a blog or on Facebook or somewhere else, that's what's actually causing people to join me. They see where I'm coming from, and because of that, they trust me, they learn to like me, and they're starting to understand where I'm coming from, so they're inspired by it when I tell of what I discovered and what I went through and what I realized. And then when I start teaching from what I've learned from those experiences and I start teaching about it, people are like, yeah, I want to learn more, I want to know more. And it was actually like, I was like, is it really that simple? And so what I did is I went out and said, okay, if this really works like this, then I'll start to do a lot of them. And I started doing different little stories, short ones, long ones, didn't seem to matter. Still had people coming in. And here's the crazy thing about it. The people stuck around. You know, one of the biggest things that I see as a big hang up in this industry is that people don't stick around. They're always jumping to the next hot deal, and they're paying attention to what all these people are doing to distract them, saying, hey, here's the next hot deal, next hot secret, here's the tip, here's the magic close, here's the lines that you need to say to get people to join. And all that is an avoidance mechanism from someone building a long-term sustainable business. Because what I want to ask you is this: why did you get into this industry of network marketing and internet marketing and affiliate marketing and all of those things that we wrap this around together, direct sales? Why? And it's because of that dream. Do you have one? Ask yourself that. Remember that dream. And that dream probably includes a few things like having lasting, residual, passive income, like you were told this thing was supposed to work. But why is it that if you have people jumping ship all the time and buying the next new thing and not focusing on anything or not building any culture or making a real connection with someone, do you think you're going to have those people stick around and not be a part of your team or not upgrade or not stick around? Why would you think that would happen? Well, it's because there's a lot of people out there running off at the mouth about this stuff with no wisdom about how this industry could work. And so I'm here today to first bust some myths and illustrate through those questions I gave that we're going to do one by one. We're going to tack these on the whiteboard, and we're just going to show you how all of them are myths. And all those how-tos, we're going to show you how that works. And for me, what I realized is the story is the biggest, most important element of it all that ties everything together. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a replicatable way that you can use your same story over and over again, and then also get to a point to where you can do multiple versions of it for different things. And that's where it gets really fun. But let's start at the beginning. So there's one thing that I want to draw out for you before we really get rolling with these questions, is this one framework that I want you to understand about your business so that you get why the story is so important, okay? A lot of you have seen this. I'm going to go over this real quickly so that you get, for those of you who haven't seen this, what this is about. Are we good on the comments in there? Anything I need to know? Are we good on the comments?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So what I'm gonna illustrate for all of you is, there's that thing, is, okay, now it's not time to relax and enjoy, it's time to learn. So we've got this spiral staircase that I like to refer to for your business. And without this, if you don't get this, you can't build a long-term sustainable business that perpetuates itself. So the first one really is all about your dream. You gotta have that. And we're gonna get into what is so important about that and how you use that to maintain your focus the right way that channels and directs that energy into the proper actions. We've got some strategy behind that. The next part really with this is going to be your skill set, your know-how, right? your know-how. And what do I mean by that? That's your competency in terms of being able to actually do the daily tasks that it is to market your business, send people to websites, log into your blog, log into your websites that you use. You may use services that you create landing pages with. You may have an autoresponder for your email that you need to log into and learn how to use. That's what I'm talking about, your know-how, okay? So your know-how is important. And once you have all that and you know how to do those things, then you need to put it into a plan of action, which is your strategy, plan of action. And that is what you're doing every day. What are you doing to market, which is a lot of your value propositions, which we're going to get into, okay? And that's your plan of action, is what is it that you're doing daily? Because that which only yields results, that which is only done daily yields results. I'm just telling you now, whatever it is that you do daily is going to be what's going to yield results for you in your business. And I've lived this way. I used to have it written on a whiteboard in my room years ago, and it's what really bridged me over to understanding, like, okay, if I'm not doing this every day, then, you know, and obviously take off Sunday if you like, but, you know, every work day, okay? And so your plan of action is very important. We're going to talk about some of that. But the next part is the most important part, and it really ties everything together. And that is your story. Because once you have your plan of action and you're doing your marketing and you're putting value propositions out there, or blog posts or social media posts, or however you're choosing to market, the next thing they need to know is your story. Because your story, and we're going to get into all of these questions about why it works so well, what's so important about it, why it glues people to you because they understand where you're coming from, okay? This is the root of it. Now, it should be, in some ways, you could draw this thing and say it's at the bottom because it's the foundation, because it is very foundational. But I just like to do this whole spiral staircase thing. Just imagine this as a spiral staircase as you're going up, and you make sure you have your dream. You got to know how to do this stuff, so there's some basic training involved. Then you get strategic and you get your plan of action, but then most people stop right there. And what do most people do? They go here and they go, all right, give me what I need to say. Tell me what I need to do. And so they start doing blog posts that are either exactly copying other people, which is the worst thing you can do, and then regurgitating stuff from a limited perspective on someone they learned from, instead of taking what they learned and translating it and using it and putting their own unique take on it, and using your value propositions in your plan of action. And what's a value proposition? It's just something that's value. Like I said in the video before, it's about the value that you're giving to someone that they go, okay, let's engage. What do you got? What do you got? Let's see what you got, right? And so you're putting out value propositions every day. So someone goes, this may be valuable. I may want to check this out. And so plan of action stuff is important. But most people fail here because they're like, well, I don't know what to say. I've never been taught to market. So, and I don't have results. We're going to get into that one too. And so they stop here and they start looking around for the strategy. They start looking around for, hey, what's the hot new Instagram training? What's the hot new Pinterest thing? What's the hot new solo thing? What is it? You know, like, what's the cool new strategy? And they get stuck in this and never develop as a marketer and understand that their story is where they relate to people, they build trust, and they create a following of people because they know where you're coming from. Now, we got some. Is it? Okay. Gene, can you close that real quick? Let's see what's happening with that. It may be just a little too far away. The lighting. We're going to refocus, guys. All right. How's that focus? A little better? It's about as good as we got for now. So, okay. This will get better as the sun moves out of the way. So, but here's my biggest thing and my biggest hang up. People start doing this avoidance mechanism stuff where they go learn something and then they either go copy it and go do the same exact thing as a repeater with people, rather than, let me see if I can get that. There we go. Bring it a little closer. Why is that falling? Oh, that's why. technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. And that's part of the home studio. So, all right, we're a little closer now. And hopefully you can see okay, because we've got, you know, the camera auto focuses. So if I keep moving back here, then it'll focus as much as it can on the whiteboard. So you see here, and the story, obviously, you see it's like really white right there because of the window. So we'll deal with it, and you know what this word is. That's the story. Okay, so the story is really important, but most people don't even ever get there. They don't think about this stuff for themselves to where they actually have the chance to be a leader and lead people, okay? Because they don't learn how to tell stories for themselves and tell stories about others, as well as honor others and recognize people and tell stories about them as well as a leader. And so they get stuck in the strategy and they start looking around and they try something for a couple days or a week and it doesn't work and they don't get a lot of leads. They don't get a lot of stuff happening in their business, no movement, no people joining, and they start searching around for other stuff, for another strategy. So they don't ever get here, they plateau here, and it's constantly this, let's look for the next strategy, look for the next thing, look for the next thing, look for the next thing. And then here's the part that I really have an issue with the industry. This is the part that, folks, I'm telling you right now, this is what needs to change about the industry. This is something that is a fundamental flaw that people, if they continue to do this, we're going to destroy ourselves. And I don't think we will. I think we're turning it around. But if people don't get this, then for their own personal businesses and for you, you're not going to be able to achieve the success you're looking for and have the results you're looking for because of this mindset. And what I mean by that is you get into this industry and then you play this game called Mine's Better. And so you constantly have people running around on the internet targeting everybody who's already in a MLM or a network marketing company or some affiliate deal, a business opportunity, okay, let's just call it an opportunity, and they start arguing with them, total waste of time, about why their deal's better. And then you get people who are more strategic about it, and then they start bashing other companies and talk about how theirs is so great. And then the third thing is that you have someone who says, hey, I have all the strategies and tactics to help you build this thing, but you got to join my company too. And then they try to coerce you over to their company. And what they don't realize is that they're out there finding the people who are not loyal, not committed, and fickle, and looking around for the next hottest thing. Well, what does that equal? That equals someone never sticking around and you never creating the real residual income that we so hold dearly, that we've dreamed about in this industry. Because you have all these people online bashing each other, playing the Mine's Better game. I just had a quick, text message interaction with someone just yesterday who I was like, well, who are you targeting? They're like, frustrated MLMers who want more leads and sales. And I'm like, how original. I hear that all the time. When I go to like some of these workshops where you're supposed to learn high level stuff, and all it really seems to be is a bunch of coercion and manipulation on how to use these hot buttons and power words to get people to think that they're really missing out on something. And I saw this, and I'm sitting down at this workshop, and I'm hearing this, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here that our industry has come to nothing but coercion and manipulation, where people are talking about theirs is better than theirs and using all the coercion you can to get someone to join you, and then they're only going to be for a short amount of time. And you continue to play this game round and round, where then you have these leaders that have built companies and they lose a lot of people because they're playing this Mine's Better game. You can do it, okay? But then they lose people and they stop believing in people. And when they stop believing in people, that's when they start not doing anything to really help or engage or teach someone how to properly do this business. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And we haven't even made it here yet. This shit needs to stop. I don't care what company you're in. What I'm doing here is a message for you. For whatever company you're a part of is okay. And my personal thing here with my curriculum and what I do here, I don't take people and attempt to sponsor them into my primary company. It's a separate thing. This is my gift to the industry. It's a gift. Because this shit needs to change. Because what this does is they start thinking that all you are is a damn minion waiting for a banana. And that all they have to do is dangle that banana in front of you and you're going to buy the next hot thing. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So for those of you right now who are like, whoa, wait a second. Well, then how the heck do we do this? Let me show you. If you get to your story, you have people who know where you're coming from. It automatically builds trust. It's unique to you. It's your differentiation and distinction, which we're going to talk about. And your story is what people are going to remember, okay? They remember you. They know where you're coming from, and they know where you're going because of your story. If you think about a lot of the leaders you may aspire to in this industry, you know their story. I'm willing to bet 90 to 95% of them, you know their story. And in fact, you could probably tell their story to somebody else. Yeah, that's true. And you know it. So then once you have your story, now we get into the good stuff. Because see, now your story creates your team, your signups, your relationships, and not just your team members that join you, but the other leaders you associate with in the industry, your strategic alliances, the people you learn from, your growth friends who are on the same level as you grow into a leader and a top producer. This is very rewarding. But most people get stuck down here. They don't even get here and master this so that they can use this to bring people in. I'm going to show you how. But this is where you get your team and your relationships. And from there, you learn how to tell stories and edify people in your team. And you can recognize people and tell more stories on how to teach. And talking with your relationships with other leaders, you hear other stories that they tell you that you can then go use to teach your team by telling stories about it. And then also telling stories about the stuff you've learned and what you've done to your team, being able to teach through stories, which I've done, which is one of the reasons why my upgrades, I think, are the highest in my primary company. Out of 50,000 affiliates, it's been like this for 2 years now. For anyone who's sponsored over 100 people, I'm just going to tell you, I own that #1 spot, okay? It's over 20% by everything in my primary company. They're what we call all in. Some of that gives you a clue for some of those who may not know or are familiar with my company. It doesn't even matter what company you're in right now because the concept is the same. And so this is a high customer value, which means you don't have to work so hard for each lead, okay? And we'll teach you how to scale that in a sec. But this is important to understand that the story stuff makes you real, authentic. You don't have to run around wondering if you said some shady copywriting or did a bunch of hypey false stuff in some email promising somebody something or saying something that ain't real and about you, and then you have to hide your face at an event when that person comes to you and says, hey, what the heck was this about? Or when you ask, or when they come up to you in an event and ask them, how did you sponsor me? And you say, oh, well, I feared you into doing it. I made you so afraid of everything else and manipulated you to get here. That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good bringing people in to build a team where people are going to only do it out of fear of loss. That whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs thing, that whole pain, agitation, solution thing. Yeah, we're going to get there. Oh, yeah, I know I'm challenging a lot of time-tested stuff. Sure, all this stuff works in the industry, but how long does it work? How lasting is it? How residual is it? How passive is it? And how easy or hard is it? So we're going to address all those things. So as you've used your story in scaled and replicated ways, you've built your team and relationships, then at this point, now you have your system, okay? So your system is going to be based on everything you've done with your stories and your marketing, okay? And it's built this So now you've got your system, which is your personal system of operation. It's your plan of action automated. We're going to show you how to do that with your story, okay? And all of the stuff around your story. What about the value propositions? What about your lead magnets? What about your bridge videos and stuff like that? The whole funnel process. We're talking about all this. We're going to hit on some of all of this. Really, we're going to hit pieces of all of this tonight, okay? Stick with me. It's going to be a good night. So the last part here really is, once you have your system, is your scaling. If you have your system, you know what that means? You've replicated your story from your plan of action. You've done that to where you've brought in a team, and now you know your numbers. You now know what it takes and how much it costs to do advertising to bring people in, and you know what your cost per lead is, you know what your average customer value is. You're able to see those numbers. Once you have those numbers, you create your system based on that. If you know that every lead costs $1, then you know you have to figure out how much it's going to cost to make a sale. And it may cost $30 or $15, 15 leads or 30 leads or 40 leads, depending on your process, depending on your system, right? And so once you know your numbers, you know that, okay, I can pay this much for a lead, and my average customer value of what they do when they come in, they buy how much of the product, and I know how much per person I make and how much residual. So I know what my average customer value is. So I know that if I bring somebody in, to me, in my primary company, they're worth about $1,300 and something dollars. Let's just say approximately $1,300. So I'll spend some money knowing that if I just scale this, okay, that's where the scaling comes in. I know whatever it takes, if it costs $30 to make a front-end sale, okay, then I know I have to spend $30 to make a sale. But when I make that sale, I average out at, I make $1,300. Now, for those of you numbers geeks, what kind of an ROI is that? That's like 1,000%.
Yeah, it's a little.
What's that, Max?
That's a little over 1,000% ROI.
Yeah.
That's like spend 30 to make 1,300. Like, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. How you liking this so far, Max?
Dude, I'll tell you. I actually, and I wanted to stay quiet just because you're on a roll, and I'm like literally just soaking this all in. But for those of you guys that are watching this, I mean, I've been since I got online about a year and a half ago. I've sat through probably a triple digits worth of webinars and hangouts and trainings and things like that. And I can tell you this, like this first, let's say about 40 minutes, for those of you guys that are watching this, like this right here, I wish I saw on day one when I first got online, because I can honestly say that I've done probably for the first 7-8 months, I did everything wrong. And this is actually why I'm so happy to be a part of, Next Level and the next level of Team Be the Change and just being on this, because this answered so many of the questions that I had when I was trying to figure out the because I think everybody gets online with what is the secret, what's the secret formula, what's the secret strategy, and I think if you guys haven't figured this out yet, the secret really is you. It's like how well do you connect with people, and how can you relate to people, and how well can you just basically get open and get vulnerable in a sense, to where it's like you just be real and be comfortable and accept the fact that people are just gonna vibe with you for you, and not everybody's gonna want to buy your stuff. But at the same time, it's like if you're comfortable being you and you're comfortable just being yourself, you will attract the right people, not just like to opt in, but at the same time to build your team around. Because it's an old saying. It's like you attract what you are, right? So if you're a schemy person giving like all the hype stuff, you're gonna attract hype people that jump ship as soon as the next hot thing comes along. Where at the same time, if you're a real person and you're teaching value and you're a moral, ethical, like this is what I want to do and this is my purpose person, you're gonna attract people with the same values and the same mindset, the same beliefs. And realistically, it's like if you're just strong mentally and you've got the right thing going on, you're going to attract the same people. And I just think that that's really the right way to build anything in that sense.
Thanks,
So
man.
yeah, I'm loving this.
Yeah, I mean that's why I asked you to come on too, because I know that you see this now because now you've been implementing this stuff
Yeah.
and starting to see results with it. So but we'll save the story for just a little bit later. Because I know everyone loved that. Everyone at the academy can attest to how hilarious that was. So obviously I get a little worked up about this because to me, and I hope you all agree with me, and I think and would assume that most of you, if not all of you, and every single one of you would see it how I see it, that I got into this industry for residual income and passive income to create a better lifestyle. That's why I started. And then now that I created that, now it's about more significance and creating community and lighting people up and showing them how to go through what I went through. And that's even more gratifying. And you'll get there, but you got to get this stuff. Let's get you the money. Let's get you the solid, stable foundation and that passive income. Let's get you those things. And we're going to talk more about this. This is what it's all about tonight. But I just want you all to know that, I could make a lot of money doing a lot of different things because I understand marketing. But I choose to be here. And right now, there's a reason why you're here. And I choose to be here with you because you're on here. Because I'm here to show you tonight that what I'm showing you is not common industry standard. In fact, it's in direct opposition to what a lot of people would argue with me about, who believe in the throw a lot of stuff against the wall and see what little bit sticks, and bring in 100 people to find that one good person, and leave 99 dead bodies on the side of the road because they did it with hype, they did it with not believing in people, and they did it with not giving them anything that they really can use to grow as a person and grow their business. The cool thing is this story helps you grow as a person just going through the process. That's one of the cool perks about it all. So take a quick picture if you can, because this is going to go away in just a sec. And we're going to get into these questions, and I'm going to drill down on some frameworks and stuff. But what I first want to do is I'm actually going to preview with you my actual story framework. Okay? I want to show you that I actually have this laid out. We're going to hit on this stuff a little later because I'm going to hit through these questions first, all these common questions that I get from people. And so I'm going to do that here right now, show you the actual thing. Okay? And let's see here. Okay, let me get back to here and share my screen. There we go. Okay. So a lot of you see this. Now, the reason I call it epic, do you guys see my screen? Max, can you see my screen?
I'm a minute behind.
I'm muted, sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Coming through
Okay.
loud and clear.
All right, so the framework I have for you is, I like to call it epic story selling. And EPIC is an acronym, and it stands for the 4 words that you have to do in every story, no matter what, in order to achieve the outcome you want, whatever that may be. And a story essentially is how to engage people. That's the E. And you see here on the right, you can follow along with me, present, which is present the necessary challenges and the problems, and presenting what it is that someone needs to take a look at, and then illustrate the solution to that problem and challenge. You're illustrating it with whatever your company, your primary opportunity, whatever your product, whatever it is, you illustrate the solution, and then through that you convert. You convert them into a buyer, a subscriber, a team member, a tribe member, whatever the case may be, converting. And there's some strategy in that. There's things like risk reversal and price juxtaposition and things like that in converting, and that you've got to be able to do, because there's all these psychological things that you need to make sure that people get so that they trust you and they know where you're coming from and they're clear on what you're telling them to do next. So we'll get there, okay? But you see here, I've broken it down into 9 points. And the first 2 are kind of arbitrary. That's if you're going to do it in certain forms like a blog post or a social media post. Your headline and subheadline. There's a reason why you have both, and we actually break down why and how you use those in the training specifically. And the next part really is setting the stage, which oftentimes I call the opening. And that's just opening up and giving someone context. You're setting the context of, hey, let me tell you the story of how I was struggling here and then I'm now here, or what I've discovered from this. So that they get like, okay, this person has what I want, or this person is the gatekeeper or the gateway to what I want. And they were just like me. So now they can relate to you, okay? So that's the essence of it. And then obviously you go into your story of your struggle and challenges, which is where someone's going to identify with you and understand that you're a real person, building trust. The turning point, which is really that time when it's that defining moment that says something's got to change, we got to find the answer, we got to find the solution. And then the next point is when you go on that journey, when you actually experience what it is that how you got exposed to this solution. It may be that you got an email and you watched a webinar, or you watched a video, or someone called you and said, hey, you got to watch this thing. Whatever it is, you talk about that journey. You talk about the things that you were wondering about, what you doubted, but what you were hopeful and optimistic for. You tell your story the way it is, and you put your emotion in there about how you felt about it as well, because people need to feel that. They want to know how the story turns out. And the next part is the epic realization. And that's really where what you learned from your journey of discovery. And that's like the big realization. Like for me, when you guys heard my story earlier, the epic realization was like, wow, I'm already enough, and I just have to be authentic and real with myself and not be afraid to show that, and be real with other people too. Yet somehow I forgot that when I started to do my marketing online. Somehow I just kind of had a brain fart on it or something, and thought I had to get like, oh, let me use this tactical, strategic power words to convert people, and they feel more impacted because I use a power word. I use actually rather than really. That dumb stuff. So the realization is, wow, this is really what the realization that helped me understand that caused the shift. And that realization is normally someone reads that and they're like, holy crap, there it is. And then that breakdown is when you teach. You actually teach what you learned. And you teach them to where they feel like you've given them value, and now you're ready to give them a call to action and go to the next thing. In essence, I could turn this over to a lot of you right now, and you guys are like, oh, it's on. It's time. I can do that. A lot of you could probably do this right now. But wait, there's more. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to it. So, all right, back to the board. And I'm erasing it, so take your picture. 3, 2, 1. All right. Somewhere there will be a test. Just kidding. I hate tests. I never liked tests. And I never studied for them either. So yeah, I wasn't that good of a student. So if I can study all this and do my homework on it and get it down, I know you can. Because I was like a C student. Like I had like a 2.6 GPA after busting my ass in high school. Okay, I barely made it. All right, so don't think I'm like this genius in here that like thinks in this crazy way that you can't even do better. Okay? Because there was no honor roll for me. There was no valedictorian or any of that stuff going on. So these 10 things. First one, how does my story define me? We're just gonna break this down. How does people are like, how does what is so significant about my story? And that's really what they're asking is, what's so significant about it? Why does it have any value? Why is it any good for my marketing? How does my story define me? And we've actually touched on a lot of this already, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But what I will tell you is, here's what it's not. It's not a concrete, set in stone thing that is the summation of all your failures and all the things you're upset about and all the things that you're never going to be able to accomplish in your life. Your story is an ever-evolving thing that doesn't just evolve as time goes along, but your perspective of it going back to the beginning continues to get better and more focused and more growth oriented as you grow and gain more perspective about your life and your business and the techniques and the tactics and the strategies and all the concepts that I'm teaching you here today is even going to help you look back at your life in a different way, which is going to help your story be even more powerful, because I'm telling you, my story that I told you, which I did a very condensed version, and if I went longer, you probably would have been in tears like a lot of people were, like I was when I really get into it. But for the sake of time, I kept it short. But many of you know me, you know my heart, you know that sometimes I get into that story and I can barely contain myself because it was such a big thing, because it's like what defined for my life, that was the turning point. Like that was not the turning point, I'm sorry, the epic realization. That was it. It was like, I am a different person. That's huge. And if you can get there, your realization changes your whole perspective of your story, because it's all in how you tell it. It's funny that it's almost like, as I look back now at my life, my dad used to tell me, as I would sit and talk about things, which I'm diametrically opposed to him. I was, into business and sales, and I sold real estate and all those things. And he was like, owned a construction company and was very pragmatic and very, not charismatic. Let's put it that way. And he was like, why are you always running your mouth? You can't shut up, for one. And then I'd start talking about stuff, and he goes, you know what? It's your story. You tell it how you want to. And at the time, I was like, what do you mean? It's like it was a way for him to get me to shut up. But what he didn't realize is that it helped me later understand, oh, it is my story. And my perspective of it is what matters. The value I bring to it is what matters. The teaching that I glean from it is what matters. What has happened that defines where I'm going is what matters. Does that make sense? Okay, so how does my story define me? It doesn't define who you are. It defines where you were, okay? So let's do this. Where you were in your mind. You may still be financially struggling, but you now know that where you were financially struggling, you had a BS belief about yourself. And you have learned a few things. And now you look back and you're like, wow, I really was disempowering myself. I was making excuses for myself. And I had some situations happen in my life that, yeah, weren't my fault, but I didn't respond to them very well. And sometimes that's tough for people to do who don't want to save face. You see, this question really comes from the ego. You're worried about what people think about you. And here's the cool part. It's a double-edged sword, because this will filter people in your life. It will take the people out that you don't want in your life, and it will bring the people into your life that you do want. And sometimes that's a little scary, because that even sometimes is close friends or family members that are just like, you know what, you've changed. I want to have my beliefs about this, and now you're growing and changing, and I don't want to be there. And you don't want to join them in their misery anymore. And so they become maintenance. They become, hey, we give a call, every couple months. And those things can happen. They don't have to. And they don't have to right away. And it can be a very gradual thing. And what I found, I was actually really afraid of this. And when I started just speaking my truth all over the place, I went back to my hometown. And I went to an event that was a big snowmobile race. And up in Alaska, we call them snow machine race. And seeing everyone I grew up around, because my town was a little smaller. And so everyone kind of knew who everyone was. And people would keep on coming up to me saying, you know what, I hear and see the things you're doing on Facebook. It's amazing. Proud of you. Happy for you. And there was only those few close friends that used to be close friends that hadn't grown, that were like, you changed, man. And they want to be right about stuff. Don't get stuck into that trying to be right about stuff. Stay subjective. There's so much more out there that we don't know. I'm not going to pretend to act like I am 100% right about everything. All I'm doing is speaking from experience, okay? And my perspective of it. So where you were, how does my story define me? It doesn't. It defines where you were, what you realized, where you're going. And this comes back to the three main things I've been teaching my team from the beginning, which is trust. This here, where you were talking about your struggle and your challenges and getting into it, someone identifies and goes, you know what, I've been there. Because all of us have been there in one way or another. And in the training, you learn more about how to be vague at the right time and how to be specific at the right time with your story, okay? That builds trust. Someone goes, wow, this person's like me. This person dealt with the same stuff I did. And there's this automatic trust being built. Then, value. What you realized, that's your realization, that's your breakdown, that's what your teaching is. Trust, value. Giving value to someone. This is your value propositions, right? Giving value. And then where you're going. Authority. Hey, I've been here, and I've also seen the promised land from these people. Let me tell you their story of their success real quick. And this is the training they're giving me. This is the stuff they're giving me access to, and I can be the one to give it to you. I'm going there. Do you want to come with me? Some of you just had the biggest ahas you've ever had in your career right there.
I love those aha moments.
You did?
It's that aha. I always have an aha when you're talking. You know, you've got that blunt like truth to you. That unfiltered bluntness where it's just like, you know, and it's funny too because it's all stuff that it's like common sense. Like it's like this is how you build a friendship, basically. You know, it's like treat people like friends. You know, would you lie to your friend, or would you rather be brutally honest with your friend? Who's your real friend anyway? The person that knows you, you know, good or bad, or that's just like, I have these friends, but I don't want to tell them everything about what's really going on, so I'm going to put on this fake pseudo thing, and then you'll see everything when I'm having a breakdown. You know what I mean? It's like you build those real friendships and those real relationships because people go with you, or they have the same experiences, or they share. Oh, you did that too. I did that too. And it's basically, it's all right there. You know, it's all right there, and it's stuff that we do every day. But it's like this is just like the framework of it to build.
Here's something so simple, because you're right on with that, Max. Like,
Yeah.
Here's something as simple as the problem and the struggle that someone goes through. This is this simple, and it illustrates the power of the brain. Look at it this way. Let's say I have a problem with my car, and my car all of a sudden stopped working, and I didn't know what even to do, and I started trying all this different stuff, and then I gave up. I didn't know what to do about it. And then later that night, I'm hanging out, we're having a drink, and I'm like, Max, my car won't even work. And you were like, wait a second, did you try these things? And I was like, yeah. And the only thing that I really got here was like nothing, no spark, no nothing. And he was like, oh, you know what? You know what that is? Oh, that's your alternator. Oh, that's just your alternator. That's what that is. I had that same problem.
I had the same problem. Yeah, this is how I fixed it. You're like, oh, you're a genius. Thank you so much.
And right away, when you're like, I had that same problem. I had that alternator. I had my alternator go out too. I had the same thing happen to me. Yeah. And right there at that moment, you're going to be like, let me tell you how I fixed it. That's setting the stage. And then someone's like, oh my God, like they're going to listen. Like I would listen. I'd be like, okay, I trust what you're about to say.
Yeah, because you literally just went through the same thing that I've been frustrated with now for the last 4 or 5 hours, sitting on the side of the road trying to fix my car. Yeah. You know, and you can apply that literally to any point of your life or any point of your business. Yeah. Because if it's that frustrating for somebody else and somebody knows how to fix it, obviously you're going to listen to the fix it person who's done it, who's been there, who's done it, and actually figured out how to, solve the problem. Yeah.
Exactly. And so right here, I actually already answered the second one, which was how does storytelling help my marketing? And it's that right there, because the toughest thing, hey guys, it's not hard to sell. Ask anyone who knows how to do it. Anything can be accomplished in the presence of trust and attention and presence. It's not this manipulative, let me hypnotize you, NLP bullshit, okay? It's not any of that. It's hey, will you listen? Okay, you trust me. Let me tell you why you can trust me. I've been there too. Let me show you how I've figured this out. Let me show you where I'm going. Do you want to come too? And it's not some whiz bang, hey, I have the sleek, line of the week that I'm going to present in my sales meeting at the car dealership, thinking it's going to work better than the one last week. I find it hilarious, some of the stuff these people do. But I digress.
You mean the online voodoo?
So how does telling my story help my marketing? And I've really talked, that I think I've already accomplished, unless, Max, you think there's something that I missed there, because there's other dimensions to it all. But how does it help your marketing? It's kind of the foundation, that whole spiral staircase that I showed. Any thoughts?
No, it makes total sense to me. I mean, I haven't actually checked chat roll because that's why I got logged out before. I think I had too many things going on at once. So, but no, I mean, it makes total sense to me. And if any of you guys have questions, man, like put them down below in the chat roll. But literally, I mean, it's how you connect, and that's the thing. And I think, I mean, obviously, I didn't create this system. I'm just a student of this system, and that's how I like to be. Like, I like to be a student of the game all the time, because me and one of my teammates were talking last night, and the beautiful thing about this is that like what you're teaching, Chris, is like timeless. You know what I mean? But you can always evolve this too, because like this is a continuous storytelling process. Because when I was, when I first got online, coming into anything, it's like you can tell different stories at different levels of your life to anything, where it's like, I remember the first time I rode a bike, the first time I drove a car, the first time I kissed a girl, you know what I mean? Like whatever. It's just like, oh, you did that? Me too. And it's like, in every little piece of whether it's your business or your life or whatever, there are going to be people that connect with you in so many different ways on so many different levels and topics. So it's like, you can basically pick and choose which part of your story do you want to tell, of anything. And that's literally like that's the beauty of this, because there are going to be people that can connect with your story on just thousands and really millions of different, pinpoint pieces, just kind of connecting the dots to where it's like, and I think that's kind of what it is. It's like once you establish that common bond and that common, that core trust, where it's like this person has shared my same experiences and has actually moved on past them. Because that's the thing. A lot of people like, the people that just like constantly, it's like, oh man, let me tell you about my problems. And it's like, oh, I'll tell you about my problems too. You get those people that like literally just constantly, it's like this negative cycle of, griping and bitching and moaning. And it's just like, oh, my problems and my problems. Hey, you ever solve your problems? No, but let me tell you about more of my problems, because they keep getting better. Where it's like, the people that learn to like take problems and figure out solutions to them, I think, because I'm a solutions-based person, like, that was one of the things my dad like beat into my head when I was a kid. He's like, don't focus on the problem. There's a solution to everything. Look at the solution. Figure out the solution. So with this, it was just like, and this is just like literally this should be like epic story solutions, in a sense, where it's like, you got problems, great. Let me tell you how to solve all your problems. This is basically a solution strategy in a sense, and it's like, it's almost like, obviously you're going to get some people that resist, but like literally for people that are looking for solutions, this can be so many different tiers and so many different levels of just solution-based marketing, you know what I mean? And just storytelling solutions in that sense. And that's literally, and it's like what you were saying too, it's like you always know somebody's story, because it's like, this is where they came from, and then this is where they are now. And it's not because they focused on their problems. It's because they figured out the solution to the problem. And it's not like there's, not going to be any more problems as you progress. I mean, there's a devil in every level, right? There's something you're going to have to, there's always going to be obstacles at every level. But at the same time, it's like, if you continuously play with, or if you're playing sports and you want to like get better at something, you're going to play with people at a higher level. If you want to go pro, you're not going to play with the high school kids. You're going to practice with the pro guys so that you can learn a little bit more. I think that this right here is just like, this is pro training. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stop my ramble right there.
It's okay. It's okay. So let's get to and knock these out, because I've told people, that your story is your best marketing strategy ever, because that's where you start, right? And why is it the best marketing strategy ever? So I'm going to get into a quick framework here for you, because this hits the core of some of the stuff I was ranting about earlier, which is this whole playing the mind's better game. Now, we already know that your story like is stickability. People are, you know, just rallied by it. You can rally people to your cause from a story. And what you can do is get more strategic about this, which is, all right, instead of playing the mind's better game, let's figure out how to do this to where you can bring in new people. You see, there was a book by a copywriter way back in the day. This book is probably 60 years old now. It's a very difficult read that some of the top producers in this industry literally couldn't even make it through. And you don't necessarily have to go and read the book. I've done it. I went through it and like just notes and notes and notes and cliff notes and did what I could to summarize it and translate it to the industry of business opportunity. And so I'm going to do that for you now so that you understand this thing right here is literally what has been the shift for many top producers to take their business to the next level. And in fact, they have. So what I'm going to show you here is something called, real quickly, something that's been perfected by quite a few people. And some of you who are in the curriculum know what I'm drawing. And this is, yes, you guessed it, the 5 levels of awareness. So the 5 levels of awareness is the awareness level, and no one else has done this. Like this is rights reserved. Okay, I translated this, but I want you to understand this very important thing. There's 5 levels here, and I'm only gonna go over just the difference between 2 of them. The rest of the training's in the thing. Okay, but what we've got is not aware, don't even know. Okay, how about this? This is easier. Don't even know. Don't know that they don't know. Don't know that they don't know. They don't even know that they have a problem. They think life is as good as it gets right now. No one has even introduced to them and said, look, this is actually a problem and life can be better. So for those people, once they get introduced to it, then it's aware of the problem. And that is, okay, my job or my lifestyle is not, it's a problem. It's not, I'm not happy with it. I'm not satisfied with it. What the heck? Something's got to change. That's when they're like, there's something wrong. They don't know the solution yet. So the other part of this is aware of the problem, not the solution yet. And that's the important part. This translated to this industry is someone who has never been exposed to business opportunities or network marketing or MLM or online affiliate marketing. They haven't been exposed to the concept. They don't even know it exists. And if they have heard about it, they don't really understand what it's entailed and what the benefits of it are and what it does for people or could do for them. Make sense? So this is like, I love this place, right? This is where I play. Then you have aware of the problem as well as the solution. Aware of the solution, which is aware of your company, right? And that is paramount difference. Because actually, no, I'm sorry, not the company. Take that back. They're aware of the industry. Just like I said up there, they didn't know the industry exists. They're aware of the industry. I knew that wasn't right. I was looking at that, pausing, going, wait a second, that wasn't right. So they're aware of the industry. And so they know that the industry of network marketing can give them passive residual income. They've been to a meeting, they've been exposed to something online, they've gone to a meeting or a hotel meeting or something where someone said, look, you know, they drew out the circles and said, look, you get these people, you get 5, they get 5, and all the stuff we were sold, right? Which isn't total reality, but it can be modeled that way and can work similar to that in a way that is still passive and residual. And so here they have the dream. And they're just looking for the right vehicle. They're aware of the industry, and so they're essentially looking for the right vehicle. Now, this is the same issue that we get into before. This is where most people play, is they start here with, hey, I'm looking for the struggling person that's in the industry, and they're looking for another company, the deal hopper, right? Well, down here, this is the person who is aware of your company now. So this is someone who may have actually, instead of just knowing what the industry is, they've actually seen your company, your opportunity, your primary company. So they've seen, they're aware of your opportunity, right? They're aware of it, so they've seen it. And so there's a different way to market to these people. There's a different way to market to these people. There's a different way to market to these people and these people. And then the last one is when they're not just aware of your company, but they're aware of you. Now, inside the curriculum and the stuff we teach, we show you the different things as to what is the important part if you want to market to each one of these levels. There's people that are down here that are playing the, not the mine's better, but I'm better, right? I'm better. They're looking for the sponsor shoppers that are aware of the company, and now they're looking for the right sponsor because they think their sponsor is going to do something miraculous for them. That's why I don't like targeting these people. I'm not going to go and compete. I am of the old school mind that the person who referred you originally should get the credit and profit from you and gain their passive residual income from you if you were the one that exposed them to the opportunity. That's how I feel about it. And had this industry operated that way, then we'd probably be a lot better off with that kind of honor, okay? And so that's the standard I hold myself to. Now, aware of the company opportunity, aware of the company, that's just the whole, like, you know, here's why my company's better than your company. It's the mine's better game, okay? And then also here is still the mine's better, but it's like, why myself and my company and all this stuff is better, and here, let me sell you a tool or a product that's going to distract you, or a strategy into this industry to help you build your primary company. And what I look at is this stuff down here is a lot of the problem that does not allow no passive income. No passive income, because people are jumping. They're like, oh, let me find the next thing. Let me find the next leader to follow. Let me find the next savior, the next guru that's promising me the big hot thing. Stay where you're at, for God's sakes. It doesn't matter where you're at. Don't you get that? It's the skill you build in your story and your system and everything you do in your marketing. You can build it anywhere. It's not about something outside of you. That's what this message is about here. So here, I like to bring in new people. I like to bring in fresh people. And some of the best marketers in the world have defined that this level 4 right here, the aware of the problem but not the solution yet, is where you can tell a story to someone because all they know is the problem. They don't yet know the solution, okay? And so you can tell a story and say, I've had these same problems as you, and guess what? I found a better way. Let me tell you how. Let me tell you what I discovered. And that's when you tell your story. And in your story, you bring them through this logical progression where you take them through all of this while they're still being exposed to you. And you tell them about the industry, you tell them about your opportunity, you tell them why you, all in your story. And then they join you. You. Does that concept make sense, Max?
Absolutely. I mean, basically, it's you get. I just know this. It's easier to teach somebody that doesn't have a lot of like really horrible bad habits or preconceived notions of how to do this or whatever. Or like, it's kind of like this. It's like, would you rather date somebody that's been like used and abused by everybody else in all the other relationships that are going to like automatically think that you're going to do the same thing to them, or just like start fresh where it's like, hey, you know, I'm going to be the best boyfriend ever, you know, it's kind of like that. I relate everything back to like relationships and you know, but it's kind of the same thing. It's like your level of awareness is like, if you know, and that's the thing. It's like once somebody's aware of a problem, you can kind of bring them in and show them the right way. Because a lot of people find that and it's just like, well, hey, let me show you this and let me show you all this other crazy things that you should be doing, where it's like, if you teach somebody the right way to do something once, I mean, this is just a simple process that can easily, you know, just gain momentum over and over and over again. And yeah, there are a lot of, you know, really shiny objects, like this, you know, distracting people all over the place, and you see them all the time. But at the same time, it's just like, they're short-lived, they're here today, gone tomorrow. And it's like, when you actually have a system that works, and you have the training that works, and you have like the whole game plan of like, this is how you take daily action to create what you want to create, and you're able to teach that right there is just pretty priceless for anybody, you know,
right.
in that sense. So it makes total sense to me. Yeah.
So this is why, everyone, thank you, Max, that I feel telling a story to new people eliminates the minds better game and all the riffraff of you having to deal with people that are jumping shit, jumping around, character murdering you, and blaming you because you didn't fulfill their pie in the sky wish of doing something great for them and being their savior and their guru. Here, you bring in someone fresh, like Max was talking about, and you get good people. Tip: this is exactly why my upgrades, my residuals, and my refund rates are actually the lowest in my company as well. Because I say what I do and I do what I say. And when you're just being real, telling your story, and you're being authentic about it, you don't have to sit and think about maybe the little white lies or the things you may have said to cover your ass. You can be real and know that if you're acting from that place of integrity and honesty and ethics, you're making this place and your team a better place for you and everyone else in it, and gives them room, real room to grow. That's how you have a team grow beyond you. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. Now, people who don't know that they don't know, you can still do that too. That's storytelling as well, but you normally have to hit them on a precise interest. Like, we have a common bond. And I used to do that with like law of attraction people, and target people specifically on books I read on Facebook, and then tell stories around our common interests and introduce the problem, then introduce the solution. And it still works. And a lot of that's in there. So this is what I wanted to help you understand. That's why this is the best marketing strategy ever. Fresh new people, growth, real growth, not competing for the same small group of people that are jumping around looking for the next hot thing all the time. That is not how passive residual income works. That's called doing it over and over again. And what is that known as? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's called insanity, my friend.
Insanity, yeah. Yeah, but it's also, it's like you have a great month, and then you're back to zero the next month, and then great month back to zero the next month. There's no, yeah, there's nothing consistent with that. Because
yeah, that's not how I want to do this. I live up in the mountains in Colorado, and I go snowboarding a lot, and my life is awesome because of that. I can do a lot of cool things. I have a lot of freedom, and I live exactly where I want to, in a place where most people save year-round just to come here for a week or two out of the year. And I live here 5 to 20 minutes from the bottom of the ski lifts. I live in a town that's a central hub to all the most amazing ski resorts in the world. Vail, Copper Mountain, Keystone, Breckenridge. I'm right there. So, you know, like, this stuff works. It helps. And so as long as you know this, then you can start to think about, okay, wait a second here. Now, there's one big distinction I want to talk to you guys about in here before we move on, which is that whole headline and subheadline and stuff like that, and features and benefits conversation. When you're in levels 5 and 4, you got to be talking about benefits, because someone doesn't know the solution. The solution is the benefit. Okay, whatever the solution does, it gives them the benefit, but they don't know what the solution is yet. So that's why you have to start with, hey, do you have this problem? I know how to fix your problem so that you can have a better life. So you can create some passive income. So you can create an income that can support your family. So you can create an income to get out of debt and to get out of that credit card debt that you have. All of those things right here. When you get down in all this stuff, you got to be feature-based, because they already know what the industry does for them. They know that the industry is going to get them debt, or get them out of debt, if they create the passive residual income that they think they're going to make here, which they're not really going to, and it lasts, right? But if you play there, which I know people who do, okay, and their average and their customer values are way lower, and they have to bring in a lot more people, and they don't make near the money I do or have, sandwich that. And this here, I just, I show you how to do this stuff as well, and we talk about it. If you want to do the whole why I'm better than you, yeah, I know that game. I can win it if I want. Show you how if you like, but I'm telling you, there's no point to it. You see, the reason this is an upside down pyramid, I have this thing for pyramids as well, like most of us do in this industry, is that there's more people up here. The size of this is like how many people are available. And honestly, this is more like this because there's so few people that have been exposed to this industry, at least in a proper way where they understand what it is. So you bring in new people, you eliminate playing the mine's better game, and you stop being a part of the problem. Let them be where they're at. Find new, fresh people. It's easier. It's easier. Why are you trying to play here? Why are you trying to be new and then go after and compete and bash one of the top producers and gurus and try to get exposure and attention on you? Do you think top level people of consciousness are going to want to join you there? You're going to try to compete with them, with their results? No, there's no point. Why? You're playing a losing game. So stop playing it. And stop thinking you have to have the ninja copywriting techniques in order to do this. So I'm going to erase this. You guys take a quick picture. 3, 2, 1. I'm letting the camera focus on it. And it's going away. All right. Now, I just want to see in the comments from everybody here, we have only covered 3 out of 10. We got more. Go ahead and put your comments in there if you're here and you're seeing this for the first time, okay? I know a lot of you who are part of the tribe already get, okay? If you've seen this for the first time, did that just cause a shift in your business and in your life? Do you now know that you're going to be able to do this in a completely different way and that you've been stabbing at it the wrong way, not knowing what the heck's going on in the dark, and all of a sudden someone just turned on a light bulb? If that's you, tell us. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat. So next part here is telling my story is hard for me, or boring, right? I don't like my story. It's boring. Am I screwed? Well, I'm only going to touch on this for a second because we did talk a lot about this, but it's really about your perspective. You see, guys, I'll just tell you, like I sat down on a curb. I made an intention for myself. I described my perspective of what I saw. And then I had a few people come up and say some things to me and say things throughout the weekend that caused an impact on me, that caused me to think about and see things. It's all my perspective. And then I had a realization. Once again, it was me sitting on a curb in a driveway at night, looking up. Now, you tell me, was there any car crash in there? Was there any major accident? Was I laid up in the hospital pondering my life? No. That's actually one of the most boring stories you could ever tell, is sitting there on a curb having a couple realizations and saying a few things to yourself. But that story sets the context for me being able to teach you what I realized and how to tell a story and do it in a strategic way that I stumbled upon by accident that works so much better than anything I've ever found. That's why I tell you the story. Because now you've seen, like, wow, isn't it refreshing that you can just say, okay, I can market and just be real. I can be myself. I can tell my story and then learn how to make the story better that's still true and honest, but it's your perspective and your lessons and how you teach from it and what you glean from it and where you've been to where you're going. That's amazing. But remember, my story had no crazy incidents. It was my perspective, personal for me. And I was bold enough to share it with the world. And the response I had blew me away. And some of you may actually be really surprised at how much your stories will inspire other people as well. And you all have not just one, but many. Because there's a lot of moments in your life that you could draw from. Because a story is really only a series of moments strung together to illustrate something. And that's why everybody wants to see how the story turns out. That's why we read books. That's why we watch movies. We want to know how the story turns out. And I'm teaching you how to do the same. I even have a guide that we're going to talk about later that helps you understand why those Hollywood movies work so well. And I'm giving you the same formula. Okay? So that part, you don't have to worry about your story being boring or that it doesn't work, because even if let's say it really is boring. Okay, let's say it's boring. So is mine. You can tell other stories and tie your story of your perspective to being inspired by somebody else who taught you this thing. And then you say, and here's my take on it, and here's what they're giving me. You want to go there with me and learn it too? Light bulb. Okay? So that takes away the, hey, how do I do this without having results? Because everyone's like, well, if I don't have results, how am I going to do this? Because all you see is people going, hey, I'm so great. I made this money. I made this money. And it's not about that type of scheming, hypey thing that's going to get you kicked off social media, that's going to get you banned from certain social sites, that's going to get your YouTube channel shut down, and get you not even being able to play solo ads or buy email lists or anything like that, with schemy, hypey marketing like that, where it's like, hey, I'm so great. Let me be the guru on the top of the mountain and tell you why I'm so great. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And the reality is, showing somebody exactly how to do something does not translate to our industry. Here's the other last point that I'm going to get into before I get in this other part and we get to the other half of these. We've had two industries converge upon each other here. And I want you all to understand this. We've had this industry of affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing and e-commerce, right? And then over here we have network marketing. And what happened is, network marketing used to be just, hotel meetings, show you a progression here. We had hotel meetings, home meetings. Some of you are like having flashbacks right now. Hotel meetings, one-on-ones in coffee shops. Oh yeah, I went there. One-on-ones. And phone calls. Oh my goodness, three-way calls. Holy crap.
It's like the most painful way to do anything.
Painful.
Painful.
Oh, right?
Like razor blades, lemon juice, and salt. It's like
right?
The cocktail of pain.
I'll take that any day over that.
Oh.
So then you have the other side of, and this was painful. And then you had to go over there, and then, some of the traditional companies, you had to go product pickup, where you actually had to go once a week to pick up your products that you bought on your auto ship from your company, from your upline. I did that. I remember having to do that. And if I needed some soap and I was out, I'd wait, because they opened it up for 2 hours, once a week, every week. Talk about a business model that you just don't understand how it even survived, right? It's that dream of the residual, right? So people put up with a lot. Then you have the other side of things, and we have this convergence down here I'm going to explain to some of you, and you're going to go, I've never heard it explained like that. And you may really like this. You may not like this, but you'll like the solution, right? Because right now I'm painting the problem. Affiliate marketing and network marketing. Affiliate marketing, they were learning how to sell stuff online. So they created their own stuff, created, you know, schemy sales pages. And what I can do is refer you to some of the diet pill stuff that you see online that is hypey, schemy stuff that is like constantly using these before after pictures and fearing you to death about what you're going to lose. Okay, so it's Maslow marketing. Now, Maslow, a lot of you, what I'm talking about here is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is that whole, like, you know, pyramid that's like shows like the 5 levels of human needs, where like the basic ones are shelter, you know, food, and, you know, all that, and water and air. And then like the next one, it's like, okay, we've got the next thing going on here. After we have those basic needs met, we can think about these. And once we have these needs met, we can think about these. And number 5 is like self-actualization, which, you know, apparently barely anybody was getting to at the time when Maslow was alive. Now, the thing is, Maslow's a freaking genius, because that stuff is only a small portion of all of the stuff that he has research on. And if you get into his stuff, like I've heard of other people who've studied the stuff, they're like, he's amazing. And it's funny that people kind of like pigeonhole this one thing Maslow talked about and used it to capitalize on people. Maslow marketing, what I'm talking about is taking people where they're at taking them down the ladder so that they make decisions based on desperation, based on feeling they need it. So they use fear-based, fear of loss, what a lot of copywriters talk about as the 3-step formula. We do a PAS, right? Pain, agitation, get the knife in there, solution. And I go through quite a bit of the science in the curriculum of what that is, and how that really is like military torture, really. And so what you're doing is disconnecting people's minds to where they're not making a really good decision on anything. This is also where people started using, you know, NLP and hypnosis to sell products. So pain, agitation, fear-based, loss-based marketing, all this stuff. So this is all fear type of marketing, affiliate marketing. To sell a product, sure, it'll work. But you see, guys, what's your product over here? It's not your opportunity. It's the people you bring in. So if your product is the people you're bringing in, why would you do all this? You see, they got down to this point where someone said, hey, I can do this online. I can go and create sales funnels, and I can do videos and do capture pages and do blog posts and emails. And I can market like this, right? Not believing in people at all. And I can do all this in my marketing. And sure, they get a lot of people who are like, oh my God, just give me the solution. I can't stand my life. I hate my life and I hate myself, right? Oh, this works for $7? Oh my God. And they buy it. Guess what the problem is? Refunds through the roof. I know a company that uses their guarantees and a lot of pain stuff and all this and hypey, misleading stuff that has like a 26% refund rate. 26%. That's 1 out of 4. That's crazy. And I know other companies that have higher, and personal marketers that have higher, because they're doing whatever they can to get that sale by doing this BS. And so they think that they can take this affiliate marketing model, combine it with network marketing, and do all that and expect to build passive income where people stick around. They're refunding, let alone sticking around, for an average of 47 days. That's the average. In this industry, it's 47 days and you're gone. 97% failure rate. I don't know about you, But isn't there something inside of you that says, that's a broken business model? Something not right with that. You're not going to get the passive residual income from doing this shit. And you don't have to do this anymore. But what I like to do in my marketing, tell my story, PAS. Oh, wait a second. That's over there, right? I ain't talking about agitation. I still hit the pain because that's my problem, my challenge, my struggle. And I go there so that people identify. But then I'm not agitating it and saying, hey, these are all the bad things that could happen to you. You need to buy my thing right now. This is aspiration. Pain aspiration solution. Here's all of the things you could have. Like all of the other people in my team. Like all these other people I'm telling you stories about. Like all the testimonials of social proof of people who've used my product or opportunity. Aspiration. That's how we evolve as a species and get out of this thing where people assume that all you are is a minion and all you need is a banana to get you to do anything. I know some of y'all think that's funny. Minions are hilarious. So all I'm saying is, come on, Max, that's funny. Go ahead, Max, come on, that's funny.
I love Minions. I was watching
love Minions.
No, I love Minions. And the purple Minions are my most favorite ones because they're the, you know, bah, bah.
So,
but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. If you look at both sides of this, it's just like when you kind of separate the people aspect of this, you know, and you just look at, and it's not even so much people, it's just like customer. You know what I mean? It's like I just need sales. You know, when you take the people out of it, the actual, like, these are real human beings with you know, with lives and you know, things to do. And you just kind of, there's obviously something so wrong with, you know, the way some people market. And then when you actually show people the proper way, you build them up. You know, it's basically on like the left side, it's like, this is how you break people down. And on the right side, it's like, this is how you build them up. You know, and instead of just like keep them crushed and keep them hungry, it's almost like, this is how you can teach people. It's kind of like feed a man for a day, or like teach a man to fish, you know. And that's kind of the flip side of that screen right there. You know, it's like I can teach a very short-term solution, or I can teach you a very, very long-term solution that you can use for forever. There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Words of wisdom from yours truly.
You know, so on this note, so I got really good at doing my story and telling my story so many different ways that the rest of this stuff got easy. And that's a lot of what the teaching is about in the Epic Story Funnel, is actually understanding what to do before your story and your value propositions, what to do after in your bridge videos, and how they actually all connect together, right? We can't get into all of that tonight because we only have some more time here, but that's like hours and hours and hours of training to help you understand this stuff. But when it comes together, it's magical. So on that note, Max, if you could, come on out real quick and tell me a little bit about the major realization that you had when you were sitting in the audience at Epic Story Academy, and just walk me through the experience. That's all I want.
Oh, man. Okay, so, well, for those of you guys that don't actually own the funnel and all this stuff, you know, there's in the actual training, there's a lot of different, you know, there's value sets and core sets and just like belief sets and stuff. And it's like certain people operate and certain people are inspired by different things. You know what I mean? You've got your money motivated people, you've got your achievement based people, you've got your relationship based people. And I think what you're kind of seeing here is a framework for how to basically market to anybody, you know, because you're going to have some people that, you know, that are just like, I want results and I want results and I want results. And you've got other people that are just like, well, I want to help the community. I want to do all these great things, you know, and it's weird. Everybody has their own different kind of motivation, but what I was sitting through watching when Chris was actually laying this all out. I mean, that was probably one of the most impactful 2 days I've ever had in my entire life, because it was just like just pure clarity. It was just like, it's like the fog lifted and you're just like, I see it all, and that was just kind of one of the moments, because the exact thing that happened was, because Chris was laying out, and this is how I connected with all my law of attraction people. I told this story, and it was based on a law of attraction kind of, be one with the universe, and this is how I asked the universe for help, and the universe came and got me all this stuff, and now I live a life where I can basically do what I want and be free, And then I was like, that makes total sense. And my question was basically, it was just like, well, so how does this work to somebody that's like more flashy, because generally speaking, if somebody's like a relationship person, they don't care about the fancy cars, or the check out my gold watch, or check out this, or look at my bling, or they're not into that. If anything, it's just like, I want to make enough money so that I can do what I want and live a life of freedom, whereas other people, they're like, I want to make all this money and live this life where I could, like, I'm a baller. You know what I mean? I'm balling. Check me out. I got my gold chain. I got my car. Check out my Land Rover. Check out this. Check out that. It's the flash. So the next frame, it goes from one profile pic where it's Chris. He's on. He's sitting there. He's got the mountains. Actually, no, it was the boats. I'm living a life. I'm on the marina. I'm going sailing. I'm doing some fishing. And the next one it's like Chris posted up like this, next to his car, his brand new Jeep that he had just bought. And I was like, that's it. That's it. So you can basically, and what's funny is it was just like, it's still Chris. Yeah. One thing's like, is Chris like this? Hey, check this out. This is me. I'm Chris. And the next one was like this. It's like, check me out with my new car. So it was literally the same exact story. You're loving this too, because you know what I'm talking about. But it was the same exact story. And instead of just like, I'm living the life of freedom, it's like, now I'm living a life of freedom where I can buy all the stuff that I want to buy, and show off to all the people that didn't believe in me when I knew that I could do it and they said that I couldn't. And it's just, and in some sense, I mean, you've got those people. Some people are motivated. I know, real early on, and this was like before I even got online, when I first started into my sales career. I had a lot of people that I needed to prove wrong. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't do that. You'll never succeed in that. You'll never do that. And like, one of my major motivations was just like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. You know what I mean? And then I ended up being like the top salesperson in the country, like for like 3-4 years. And I was just like, come beat me now, and that was, and for like, anyway, but I was very like goal oriented in that sense, to where it's like, to me, it was just like being number one was all I could ever be, and then eventually it's just like, well, now that I'm number one, and I think this is kind of, because I think that's everybody's thing, because when you're doing it, you're getting the results. I mean, like, the money comes with it, everything else comes with it. And then it's just like, okay, so what's next? And I think that's how you transition into like a relationship kind of. So it's like, so now that I'm making the money and now that I'm doing all this other stuff, how can I teach people this, and how can I help people, and how can I actually give back and help the greater good of society in that sense? And like, and here's the thing, like, you have to go through one to actually get to the next. And that was literally like the breakthrough that I had, because there's so many people. It's like, I want to be this relationship person and I want to help all these people. But it's almost like, if you can't help yourself first, you actually can't help anybody else. So in a sense, you have to go back to being an action taker, in that sense, to where it's like, you have to set those achievement goals and make them monetary, and make them like for yourself and for you, so that you can hit those status quos, because that actually helps you. Here's the thing, you can't teach somebody to do something that you've never actually done yourself. I mean, you can third party it to where it's like, these are all these other people doing it, but it's so much better when you go, this is the person that taught me how to get the results that I'm getting now. And now that I know this, I can also teach you as well. But now you've got like a powerhouse combo, of people that have all done it, all teaching you at the same time, in that sense, compared to, just like, hey, this is what you can, it's kind of like you see people writing these blog posts and stuff. It's like, how to retire in your 30s. And then it's like, are you retired? No. Okay, so then how can you, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you write a post about that if you're not actually doing it? So in that sense, it's like, do it first. Like, you've got to set that goal to where it's like, you've got to be achievement oriented, and you've got to like basically get it up to a point where you're just like, now that I'm, in a sense, it's a quote unquote, some people it's, well, I don't want to be that selfish. And it's like, you almost kind of have to be, but it's like, it's not really selfish. It's more just like loving yourself first before you take all that energy and help other people, because you could actually do it at the same time. It's like, as you learn, you can teach, but realistically, it's like, you've got to basically treasure your own time and treasure your own value, realistically, because it's like, you can't teach somebody that if you don't actually do it for yourself, and I hope this all makes sense, because I get in these rambling tangents, but my rambling, I think, have a lot of good points to them. But like that's kind of what it is. It's like, if you see this, it's like, if you can teach somebody to do it, and everything that you're learning here, guys, it's just like, you have to be achievement oriented first. You know what I mean? Before you can move on to the, I want to help the greater good of people.
Yeah. Max, let me do you one better here on this.
What up?
Because you're speaking to that perfect part of what your major realization was. I want you to tell me real quick what you actually did and what caused the biggest, most hilarious thing to happen. Like, I'll tell my side of it, but I want you to say it first.
I got up and like walked out of the room, because that was it. Because I was literally sitting there and I was like, okay, so I get how he's doing it for this group, and that was it. I mean, like, literally all you had to do was click a slide, and then it went over to Chris there, and I was just like, that's it. And I like literally, and it was like, mother F, and I got up and I threw my arms up and I walked out of the room, and I had to like pace, and I was like, and that's it. Like, that was the real thing right there, because that's like, you know what I mean? Like there was a disconnect. It's like, all right, I get how you can market to these people. How do you market to these people? And it was just like, and that's it. It was just like, it was a switch of a word here, switch of a word here, switch of a picture here, and it's just like, all right, that was it. Like, literally, like total clarity. And I mean, I'm loud and obnoxious to begin with, so it was just like, and it wasn't meant to be like, in any way, shape, or form like disruptive. But I was just like, dude, you got to be kidding me, you know what I mean? Because literally, it was just like you see it happening, and you see it all in front, and you can see other people doing it or whatever. You're like, I get it, I get what you're saying, but I don't really get it. It's like, I see what you're doing, but and then that right there was just like, so that's it. Like, literally, that's it. So this is how you can basically, more or less, just like tell the same exact story, literally the same exact way, and use it to connect with everybody.
I remember you specifically saying, my God, that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. And
that was it. Because it really is. It's the blueprint. Like, what you're teaching here is the blueprint. It's like, if there was like a strategy guide or something, it's like, we play video games, like, people spend the extra $20-$30 to like buy the strategy guide to like, this is how you beat the game in really, really quick time. Like, this is kind of like, hey, I've played the game already, and this is the strategy guide that you need to use to basically get all the level ups, all the power ups, all the special secret codes, all the special weapons, how to find all the cool stuff, and basically beat the game in a way shorter time than if you never played it before in your entire life.
Right.
And I just know this, man. Like, I wish that it really is. It's the blueprint. It's the strategy guide of just like, of how to beat the game. Because that's the thing. Like, I mean, if you look at it, like, anything that you're doing, it's like, there are people that take it like, oh, this is my business and I've got to be real professional. It's, oh, this is this, or it's this overwhelming online marketing world. It's just like, no, treat it like a game. You know what I mean? It's like, when you first come into a game, you got to learn the basics of the game to play it. You got to learn the rules of the game to play the game. But it's like, as you learn the rules and as you progress, it's just like, okay, cool, this is easy. I know the first time anybody, if you've never played football before and you just got thrown on a football team, you're probably not going to, you'll run, it's like Waterboy, you know what I mean? You're going to run the other way, you're going to do some weird stuff or something. But at the same time, it's like, once you learn the rules of the game is simple, and that's kind of it. It's just like, this is like a structured guideline to where it's like rules of the game and also how to dominate the game at the same time without having to like, cork your baseball bat or like wipe stuff on the baseball glove to like cheat a little bit, or like deflate the balls so that you can get it to the Super Bowl, or Tanya Harding, or like have to kneecap your opponent during the Olympics so that you can win.
Obviously, guys, you can see how descriptive Max actually is, and that's also a part of his training, but you also learn how to be descriptive like that. Notice that when he says those things, he's describing them in a way that you actually have certain sensations. in your body and you actually feel certain ways. If your brain was hooked up to a brain scanner right now, certain parts of your brain would light up. And when he said Tanya Harding, or, because you have a certain association, or deflating a football, like you have a certain kinesthetic feeling to that. When you describe things in senses and what you're seeing and feeling and hearing and tasting and touching and all that stuff, it lights up certain parts of the brain which engage your brain and be present, and you're more open and ready to learn and take in whatever's in front of you. And so this is some of the stuff you learn about how to be descriptive and be specific at a certain time and vague in other times, in order for people to follow what you're talking about. And so for Max, I just thought it was hilarious because he got up and was walking out I'm done, I got it, that's all I needed. And I'm on stage and I'm kind of like, eh.
Because literally it was the pinpoint blueprint, and that was it. I was like, this is the blueprint.
Yeah.
I have the blueprint. Literally, I have the blueprint.
And here's the good news. That actual part of the recording, this is what we're actually doing, guys, just so you know. I'm just going to mention it to you real quick, and we're going to get on with more teaching and show you more of this. But we've got the Epic Story Funnel home study course tonight for you. It's that button below that's popped up. And literally, it's tonight, and the price is going to go up, and it cut tomorrow night at midnight. It's $497. And that's before we add the recordings of Epic Story Academy, where you actually get to see me cracking up at Max, running out of the room because he had one of the biggest realizations that he needed to have. And since then, he's gone to do stuff. And actually, he's even because I'm sponsored in my primary company, and he's passing sales up to me now. And so it's working, right? And so I know that it worked, which is one of the reasons why I brought Max out here tonight, for you guys to understand the process he went through, anybody can go through. And those recordings, we're going to be adding back to this product. And so it's $497 tonight. This is the last time we are ever going to sell it for this price. You're actually getting it for what it's worth now with all the home study course modules. And then when we add the other videos over the next week of the recordings of Epic Story Academy, then the price is going to go up to $697 starting midnight Saturday morning. So it's $497 until midnight tomorrow night, and then it's $697. And so you'll save $200. And so all I'm going to do is I'm not going to hard pitch this thing tonight. I'm showing you guys what this thing is about. By now, you obviously have a real good idea of this is completely different and transformational stuff. And I'm sure you've been reading the chats and comments about this. And so I'm not going to talk too much more about that. I'm just here to get my message out here because that's what I'm about. And I owe it to my message to get it to you guys, because ultimately, at the end of the day, I want all of you to be a part of the solution in this industry, not the problem. Okay, so that's the message that's coming out here tonight. And being able to effectively tell your story and then put your story into a funnel the right way in your marketing process is what we're attempting to achieve tonight. Okay, and that's all also in there as what Matt was talking about, or Max was talking about with people who are flashy, and material, and then people who are really community based. And there's a training in there called the value sets, which actually I don't ever teach publicly. It's the one part that you even never hear me refer to, because it's so secretive, but so amazing in the way that it affects people. And it helps you understand essentially these two things: understanding the type of people you need to target, and where people are at on the progression. Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to have the cars and the clothes and the nice watch and all these things that are a symbol of your success that you've achieved and worked hard to have. Nothing wrong with that at all. And so all I did was show the value sets of what people value, and you start to understand this. There's one clear distinction that was my major intention of that you're going to learn inside the Epic Story Funnel, and that is, in these value sets, there's this certain point that is the crossing the magic line, I like to call it, jumping over and crossing the bridge that takes you from the land of failure to the land of success. And I can always pinpoint someone whether or not they're going to be in and out in 47 days or not based on this. And what that is there's a value set that is essentially based on people really defining what they don't want and doing everything they can to move away from it. Their main focus when they have their goals is this: get out of my job, eliminate this credit card debt, talking about all the things they don't want. And you see, when you start doing that, that's your dominant focus. Just like when you're running on a treadmill, have you ever noticed that if you're running on a treadmill and you start looking to the left, that your body naturally starts to gravitate in that direction, even though you don't mean to, and you're trying to run forward? So it's like trying to run over here, but focusing over here. And so what I'm attempting to do is to get you to cross that bridge and understand your languaging and your thinking to where now you're defining what you do want. You're forgetting about what you don't want, because all these people think that they have to go through all this hard struggle. And believe it or not, neuroscience has proven you don't have to do all that. You just have to define what you do want and focus on that and go there and start moving in that direction. And don't let, the biggest thing is to not let all that stuff, negativity, get you down and rob your energy and get you frustrated to where you are not choosing to continue to move forward in your business and what you want. And that's one of the biggest things I can teach. I use those value sets in order to illustrate that and then go deeper so that you know where you're at and who to target and how to take people from one value set to the next. So that's what you have inside the Epic Story Funnel. Click that link, you'll find out all more about it. So anyways, let's continue on. And the other thing here is a lot of people have asked me, how long will it take me to tell my story properly or effectively? And the answer to that is actually really simple. No time at all, because it's actually a shift in terms of, look at it like a marketer. A marketer is always optimizing, split testing, finding what doesn't work and then defining what does work and moving in that direction, and then finding again what doesn't work when they come to a fork in the road. And you see, your story, you literally start with nothing. You can tell your story right now. But then it's recording that story and then having the strategy guide, which we give you. I'm actually going to show you. Sweetie, can you go and grab the hack off my desk real quick? I actually have a strategy guide that has all the questions that helps define, after you've told your story, just written it without any guidance or strategy or anything to it. You've written it from the first second. Write your story. And then you go back and go, okay, now what major thing happened in my life that really had me define what was it that I needed to change? What was my major struggle? What was it that people could identify with that was just like a lot of other people? How can I say that in a way that a lot of people are like, oh, I had that problem in my life too. Credit card debt. Heck, so many people have that, right? And so you start, you learn instantly. You already know how. It's just that the story gets better and better, and you continue to optimize it and play with it and test it, all of it, the whole thing. And so one of the things that you get inside of the Epic Story Funnel is a mini course that I created originally that's not even for sale anymore. The only place you get it is inside the Epic Story Funnel, and it's called the Epic Story Hack. And it's 8 hours of training as well as this strategy application guide that literally, this is one of my first books, right? And what you have is what works in stories. I explain how it works in Hollywood and everywhere else too, but then we get into asking you questions as to how this actually works. And we go into asking you the questions as to why this story would work for your opportunity and how you bring people in through this, how you get people to trust, how you build trust, how you give value, how you establish authority, okay? All of these things are right here. They have different sections. You even define all these questions, and then you have the third section of the framework where, I'll see it again, it's there, and we start defining the story, fill in the blank with all these bullet points. And you just go through all those and go, okay, make sure that that has it in there. What part of my story did I miss? How does it work for my story? And that's what you get inside the Epic Story Funnel as well, is this bonus course that this is the blueprint, right? So it's about starting from the first day, and this is something that when we get people out of learning mode and they just do stuff, you actually find that you learn 1,000 times faster by doing. You do it and then you realize, oh, that wasn't so bad, that was actually easy, and you got into action doing it, so you have more energy to do more of it, and then you find out what does work, what doesn't work, and you start course correcting and finding out what really works for you, not trying to copy somebody else. Now, that's the thing that I have a real problem with, is that you have a lot of people that are like, hey, get my $500 a day formula. Well, according to what? Maybe when you're selling a product, but when you're selling to people and you're resonating with individuals who have all different individual talents and strengths and gifts and unique abilities and value sets and levels of awareness and everything else, do you think that that copycat, out of the box, just one size fits all marketing is going to work the same exact way and make you $500? Get fucking real. Seriously. Like, that is not reality. And so when you see that stuff, you know what happens is you have someone who's used to being an employee, working a job, that's used to moving away from what they don't want, and they see that $500 a day formula, and they're like, ooh, there you go, just like a job. And you know what they do with their job? They show up every day. They do as little as possible just to get by so that they don't get fired, and nothing more. Nowhere do they go the extra mile. Unless they're the brown noser of the bunch, right? But you see, when that happens, you have the person buy that thing that's that small, hey, get this formula. This is how, oh, okay, this is guaranteed. Oh, wow, okay, it'll work for me too. And so then they go and do as little as possible and barely do anything, if anything, with the $500 a day formula, and they lose. And then they get mad and say that they've been ripped off, they've been misled, they refund, and then they talk bad about you. And this is one of the reasons why this industry has such a bad name among certain circles. Did anyone just get an aha?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I think just leading on that point too, Piper, basically, she's got a question in there to like, how do you basically find the right company to lock arms with that have the same value sets as you?
Doesn't matter, because it's not about the company, it's about you and the team you create. And as long as that company allows you to build your team the way you want and do it the way you, and give you the freedom to be able to do that, then it doesn't matter. It's up to you as to whether or not one comp plan pays more than the other, if that matters to you, or if you want to lock your arms with people that are the same value set as you. But what I would say to look for, this is a little off topic, but what I would say to look for is for the leadership in the company to allow you to build your team, and they're not going to come in and interfere with you and tell you how you can and cannot run your business, or how to market online or not to, or if they even have a policy to not market online at all. Can you believe it? There's actually companies out there that don't allow you to market online, and they're dying because they're all in this fear of loss, moving away from what they don't want, because some idiot once said, make my $500 a day formula online, and talked about their company, and the lawyer for the company said, oh my God, we can't have this. We need to shut them down and not allow anybody to market online, and they're going to be dead in 5 years. So that's what I would say. So next one, how does my story tie into my marketing process? So what I really mean by that, the marketing process, a lot of you saw that in the actual 10-minute invite video, because a lot of you understand that, you know, here the value proposition is where you start, and this could be a blog post. It could be a social media post, a Google Plus post, a Facebook post, Instagram, social media, whatever, right? It could be an email. And in this value proposition, you may have quick bullet points or 3 to 5 to 10 sentences in there at all that allude to the highlights of your story. So your value proposition may be 3 tips on how to do whatever for your interest or your niche. And then you're like, somewhere in there, you have a version of your story that is so small that could simply be, oh, and this is also how I learned how to do X, Y, and Z in my business online. And, you know, took my struggling life where I was $20,000 in credit card debt and turned it around and debt free now. And I actually like did that. And my life is a lot better. And people go, and then keep teaching. But you're planting seeds. You're planting seeds of your story so that by the end of it, your call to action of your value proposition goes to your story, which could also be on another blog post. It could be on a Facebook post. It could be on a landing page. It could be a video. It could be a page with a video where you're telling your story in a video if you choose, right? And so your story, they come from here to here. And your story tells them what you're all about, where you're coming from, and everything we've talked about. So from here, then, oh, sorry. At this point, we got to capture the leads so we can put them through our marketing process, right? Well, normally I like to have the story before the opt-in, before capturing the lead, because what I've noticed is, and just take note of these for you marketers that love numbers, my average opt-in rates are 40 to 65%. After I've told a story, people are like, yeah, whatever he's selling, I'm buying. Whatever he's doing, I want to be a part of. I want to know and have what he has. So it doesn't even matter what's on that page as long as you don't screw it up. So the good news is, with your lead magnet, and I've done versions of this. I've done where I've given away an ebook even, right? An ebook, and I've done it over here, and I've had a quick little video capture page that was a very small version of my story for like 1.5 minutes, and then said, you're gonna learn all about that and hear my full story. And when you download this PDF, which is my story of how I did this, right? It's working really well. Right now I'm having one that's like right around, I'm dialing it in at like 40%, and just got to sign up today. And I think that we're just starting to dial in that funnel. So it took like 40 leads in order to get that sale. So it's a little high for me, but I'm working with new systems with a core offer that I have not too tested yet. So we can dial that in even better. But that's just an example of, I didn't even tell the story before I got the opt-in, but then they read the PDF that they downloaded and it was like, wow, and then they joined, right? And so you can have it here. There's not a hard rule on that. Is, you know, lead magnet, LM, that can be here too if you're strategic about it. I don't recommend doing that at first if you don't know how to effectively tell your story with credibility and authority and doing it well, and you've done a lot of it here before you've gotten the opt-ins. Does that make sense? Okay. So then from your lead magnet, you got your bridge video. And all this is or your bridge exposure. Some people who are afraid to get on camera, which I don't agree with, you really should have, you know, your bridge exposure where you are pre-selling. So this is really a pre-sell where you are confirming. See, here in the lead magnet, you have elements of your story. Whatever this story was here, your lead magnet has, you know, refers to what they get in the lead magnet that has something to do with your story. You may have taught something at a very small level in your story, in your breakdown, and then your lead magnet is all about the expansion and the bigger teaching of what you learned in that story, what you were teaching in your story, right? And so in here, in the ebook or whatever, or your teaching of your lead magnet, you can refer to your story while you're teaching, which people will be like, oh, I remember that story, and then they'll remember the points you're teaching. You teach through stories. You tell other parts of your story if you like, if you can get to that point, and anybody can. So you're still having pieces of your story showing up. I'm showing these little dots because I'm planting seeds. That's what I'm calling this. These are seeds, right? And so the bridge exposure is more seeds pertaining to your story, and you're confirming your story. You're normally on camera like, look, this happened to me, and here's something else I learned about, you know, all of this stuff that I just taught you, is you need to know this. Well, when you know this is what you're going to learn in the next video by this person of credibility that you're now going to talk about and tell their story and edify as the authority so that they listen. And once that video is done, you send them to your core offer of your company. This is just the framework in an overview. And from here, then it's just your follow-up. Like you guys saw in the video. And the follow-up is just talking more. It's like the first one's normally like an FAQ. I'll just tell you that. And then I actually teach people at Epic Story Academy how to create their own video that is more of a follow-up sales video itself. It is more of just your story, and here's the product, and here's why they both work well, and here you go. Join me and my movement. So it's a vision-based approach rather than just letting the system work for you. Don't get me started on that. I'll rant forever about systems and why people think systems are their saviors. And yeah, okay, you need both. You need a system, but you need you too. You thinking the system's going to do it all for you? It's never sustainable, ever, okay? I'm just telling you, I know this. So a vision-based approach in your follow-up, and these emails go out and they go to clarification stuff. And we have that whole formula in the Epic Story Funnel that talks about, the first one's an FAQ. Here's the things, here's the questions people ask. We're gonna have a whole series of questions put back there. We haven't even put that back there yet, but that's coming soon, where we're gonna literally have the questions that you need to be asked of your opportunity. And that you can then go, okay, well, let me create my own FAQ on my blog, and then send someone an email and say, hey, got questions? Here's how it all works. Go over here to my blog, and all these questions you get to answer because you're familiar with your primary opportunity. But they're all the commonly asked questions, frequently asked questions, right? So when you have that, and then you say, now here's my vision for all of this and what we're doing, join my team, join me, here's the things you get for being with me specifically. Like, that's all in there. And then the cool stuff from there, did I miss something? Core offer follow-up. It's just retargeting at this point, which we're not even gonna worry about that stuff right now, because that's taught in Epic Story Funnel. But we had the follow-up, and your follow-ups are important because obviously only 10 to 15 to 20% of the people that are exposed to your message will buy the first time around, so they need to see other exposures. And the average is 7 to 10 or 7 to 15 exposures, right? So we have a breakdown of the first 7 emails, right? That we give you, like, look, this is the things you need to have. You need to have social engagement. You need to have these things psychologically handled. And then the next 7 or 8 or whatever is your value-based value propositions and blog posts and social media posts and things that you may be teaching on, and all the stuff that makes you passionate, that makes you you, that's your unique creativity, where they get to know you and learn about you and like you and vibe with you, and then eventually be like, you know what, this person's cool, I like what they're doing, I'm ready now, and I understand how all this works, I'm ready to join. Some people need that time to think that through, right? And so why are we trying to get this easy hit with these little $7 offers to get someone to get over the line when you get a refund rate that's insane? I don't care about it. Keep the $7. I'm going for what the real value is. And those people that don't see and respect and get and acknowledge the value that what they're getting is, they don't need to be there. You see, your story also filters out all the people you don't want, the people that aren't like you. They read your story and they're like, I don't know this person, yeah. And if that person joins you, they do nothing but give you guff anyway. They'd be a problem. They'd be challenging you. They'd be sending you emails, not agreeing with you. You don't want that anyway. We're talking about having a good life here, right? So let's show you how to do this in a way that brings in the right people that stick around, that will help you in the long term, and you can help them, and they're willing to grow and they're open and receptive to you. Okay? So that's how that ties in with the marketing process. Before I go any further, what I actually want to do here is, Irina, is there any specific questions that have popped up in there? Okay, so
Eric Piper, Aaron, but you're already answering.
Okay, all right. So what I want to do is, as I'm going to start going through some of this other stuff, I want some of you, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat now, and we'll get to them, and we'll make sure we answer them, and at least address them in some form or another while you're here tonight live. And I won't leave until the last question's answered. How about that? So here's the thing, guys. What you're going to learn about me, if you haven't yet, is that I mean what I say and I say what I mean. For example, Epic Story Academy. I gave a guarantee, and I told people, if this is not the best event you have ever been to in your entire life, notify somebody of my staff or me, come up to us right at the event and say, this is not only just a good event, the best you've ever been to and had the most breakthroughs, best event you've ever been to for the money, then we'll give you your money back. That's it.
Not that if you're not satisfied, if you don't think it's the best you've ever had. We had 45 people sitting in that room. Guess how many refund requests we got? 0. I'm telling you, I stand behind what I say. And it's my intention to blow people away and give way more value than what I'm asking for the price. Now, this price tonight, $497 for the Epic Story Funnel, you can click that button below. It's the last time you'll ever get it for that. And you got until tomorrow night, Mountain Time. Because I'm in Colorado, we're calling Colorado the center of the universe. And so midnight Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, whatever, midnight Mountain Time, Mountain Daylight Time is when that price goes up to $697. Your $200 discount window starts now, and you have like 27 hours, 28 hours, 28 and a half. And so I would just encourage you that how much we have inside here is kind of insane. Like, what I'll do is quickly show you a little bit about what we have inside there for you and what you're going to learn, and then I'm going to get to these other questions because I know there's a few in here. I'm going to get to them, and we're going to make sure we get them knocked out, as well as any other questions you have inside the thing. Guys, I'm here for you tonight, so we don't have a time limit here, and I just got to make sure that we're not going all night. But I want to show you what this is. So share my screen. And here it is. So Max, can you see my screen?
Loud and clear, and aye, aye, sir.
All right, all right. So check this out. So Epic Story Funnel, and this right now, it has 19 lessons, okay? 19 lessons. They're all chunked down with notes. We have downloads for you to follow along in each of the trainings. And I just want to show you here something real cool. Like, here's the whole section on awareness, all about those levels of awareness, how to market to each one of them specifically. We talk about that. Those value sets we were talking about, here they are, how they relate to your marketing, how to target each one, and how copywriting is applied to each of them, right? Positioning, the whole positioning and branding thing. We're actually going to address one of these questions that hits on this here later. So I'm going to skip that for now, but then here's the synthesis part. This is like how you actually take all of this and make your story that you've already created even better and actionable for your marketing, okay? Mastering the art of story selling. Then the process is a lot of what we've talked about in detail with checklists and frameworks for you. In what you've seen on the whiteboard is how the actual sales process works, the funnel, which is what I was illustrating on the whiteboard just a second ago. And the application is how we connect this all together. And then this is a bonus module with my business partner, Amy Starr Allen, who is doing some video marketing stuff. You're also going to get a bonus module from her in here on blogging that she did training live at the Epic Story Academy. Now, here's the cool thing, Epic Story Hack. This is that course that is discontinued, that you cannot buy anymore, that is not available anywhere. And we put it back here for you, which was originally a $97 product that has that hack, that workbook I showed you. It has it in here, as well as 3 hours of a live webcast in the studio. And we got a couple hours of virtual live events where we show you more stories, where I've actually shown you how I helped Amy create her stories and create a 6-figure income, as well as others here as well, and some of the breakthroughs they have, and you get all of that. So that's like 14 hours right now, and we have about 4 to 5 hours of training coming from Epic Story Academy being edited and cut down, being put in the relevant places that you need. So that's almost 20 hours of content for you, the Epic Story Funnel. Let's just show you one of these here. Like, you'll see how this is laid out. The videos here. Marketing works. Look at that, system-based marketing, myths and facts. You learn this stuff. We got downloads for you, right? Here's a download, level of awareness worksheets, right? Download it, open it up, and you get to follow along with all the stuff I'm teaching that helps you fill in the blank and actually make all this work for you and make it actionable so that you can do this for yourself. So, and look at all these comments. I mean, Max, there you are, hitting the nail on the head here. You know, I mean, just all of these people just, they love this stuff. These comments, you'll see them here. And so what we've got for you for only $497 tonight, this is the last chance it's ever going to be this, because it's going to go up to $697 for about a week, and then the full price is going to kick in at $797. And we may decide at some point to bump that up to $997 if we want. We may test that, but we may also do a few quick promotions at $697 to test. But you'll never ever see $497 again. So what I want to do, now that you've seen a little bit of the course there and what's in there, the cool thing is the next Epic Story Academy, which you cannot buy yet, it's not on sale, we don't even have the dates for it, that's going to be about a $1,500 ticket. And if you own the Epic Story Funnel course, you're going to have a chance to buy it for 2/3 of that, but only if you own this. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay full price for Epic Story Academy, and that doesn't get you all of this. So this gets you a chance to also attend Epic Story Academy Live, where we're going to go even deeper into stuff we've never covered and the application of this stuff and case studies and other cool stuff that's evolving as the industry evolves, and we're on the cutting edge of it as well. And that's the intention for Epic Story Academy. That's going to be sometime in August is what we're looking at right now. So just want to quickly check over real quick. Is there any questions in there? Pretty much covering the gamut here, aren't we? Okay. So real quick, Max, any thoughts here on what you've just seen?
I think that anybody that's watching this should see the value in the training itself, and realistically $497 is a steal, because if you think about it, that's like, it's about 20 hours, right? It's about $40 an hour worth of training. Actually less than that. I think it's about, no, yeah, if you think about what you pay somebody for coaching, you know, or anything like that, or like one-on-one time, this is just that. Let's go value based here. Let's go benefit here. This is literally like the training itself. I just know this because it's a lot of training to go through all at once, but literally just being able to have the training itself, because there are times where I'm just like, well, let me see how to word this, or what. I mean, I've probably gone through funnel about 3 or 4 times already now, and every time I go through it, I still pick up more stuff, you know, because there, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure that all you guys watching this right here live, you're having like breakthroughs, and you're seeing, you're having your head pop off. You're like, whoa, this is it. This is amazing. Whatever. Imagine being able to watch this 2 or 3 times over and catching all this stuff. Here, you want to see a pattern interrupt? There's my pattern interrupt. But imagine if you caught this like 2 or 3 times over, to where now it's like, once you understand some of the stuff you didn't understand the first time, and then watching it the second time or the third time, just really understanding, you know, the power of the marketing training here. Because this really is. I mean, this is a blueprint formula that's going to work forever. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you think of any of the, and let's just go Bible here, right? What's the Bible? The greatest story ever told. You know what I mean? How many times has this thing has it been copied and rewritten and published over and over again? You know, the best, you know, before television and before movies and stuff, people, you know, you guys ever see 300? And this is how I'm going to put this, right? If you guys ever saw 300, right? The one guy that Leonidas sent home, you know, to go tell the rest of Greece about what was going on, was the guy that could tell the best story. Cleo's taking a shower, I know. But the one guy that Leonidas sent home was the guy that could tell the best story, because that one story excited all of Greece to basically rise up and fight Xerxes, and you know, and you know, pretty much shape the face of humanity as we know it, you know, through a democracy and everything else, because you know, Greece was one of the first democratic whatever. So this is going on like a whole other historical level. Quiet you know, but that's basically it. It's like when you learn how to tell stories. Yes. You want to tell a story? Tell a story how you want to take a shower. Okay. So that's the shower. Yeah. So when you learn how to tell stories, like this is something that you can use for everything. You know what I mean? Whether it's an online business, whether it's an offline business, whether it's a home business, whether, actually what's funny is like, this has actually helped me relate to my kids better, you know, because I got 3 of them and all 3 of them are on different levels of stuff. So I kind of, it's like, all right, how do I talk to you the way I need you to understand me? Yes, you're going to watch Aka. If that makes sense. So, you know, so in that sense, it's just like, if the value itself, listen, that's a small investment in your future. Yeah, the Aka movie. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, great. Can you be 2 seconds now?
No.
Okay. No. This is my youngest one. He's the most stubborn one. Yeah. So anyway, but if you could see the value in this, you'll see the value in this. Okay. And it's just get it. I love you. I love you.
I watch Aka. And teacher.
Okay.
Now that's hilarious.
Yeah. This is normal for me. This is every webinar I've ever been on, by the way.
Isn't it great that you can build your business from home on Hangouts and have your kids sitting in your lap and it still work?
Yeah. Actually, it's pretty awesome. Hence the reason why I got online, because, you know, when I was working before, and I do run my own business outside of my online, you know, and I was working literally 12 to 16, 18 hours a day, every single day for almost 3 years. And I mean, my kids almost didn't know me, and my marriage was on the verge of just like exploding. And then what's funny is once I got online and actually learned how to leverage certain things and do things the right way, I was able to, I work about 5 hours a day now on my offline business. And now I spend most of my time marketing because I know how to leverage and balance time and use, I don't know, basically use what I learned the right way.
Gotcha.
You know, and most of the major breakthroughs I've had have literally been since I got back from Denver. And it's funny, and just all the momentum roll that I've gotten has basically been because of that event.
And by the way, when he says Denver, he means we were in the Denver area. We were
in the Denver area. I can't even remember the name of the city. We were in
that's the Story Academy, but we had it out in Colorado.
Yeah,
Boulder.
Colorado. It wasn't Denver. It was in between Denver and Boulder at a wonderful hotel that I
So what I want to do here is I actually believe that most of these other questions, the last 3, or the last 4, actually I've answered most of them, but I'm going to touch on them and make sure that we just like cross the T's and dot the I's on them real quick. And so number 7 is, how does this attract the right prospect? I think by now, you know, you guys realize that this attracts the same people just like you because you're telling your story and people that resonate with you. So it's obviously the right prospect, and you're more importantly filtering out the wrong prospects, which are going to cause you headache and grief in your business. So we don't really have to hit that one. And then the other one was, how do I scale my story so that I can use it over and over again? Because people are like, okay, well, I have one story right now. How do I do that over and over again? And that's when you've got your value propositions with new people coming in, sending them to your story, okay? And once you send them to your story, then there's all these different iterations through lead magnet, bridge, core, follow-up, that your story is still prevalent in. This is why my conversions are so high. I actually want to show you guys something. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to log in. I actually didn't even show you guys this at Epic Story Academy. I forgot. But what I'll do is, actually inside the Facebook group, I will show this photo. I posted in the group afterwards for people, but I wanted you all to see, like, oh, where's this at? Don't tell me it's not in here. Oh goodness. It's it was literally the psychology of my follow-ups and my email sequences. I want to show you what that yielded in terms of open rates in my actual account. Now, where is that? I guess it's maybe only in my next level group. That's easier to find. There it is. So hopefully you guys will be able to see this. Let me share my screen. And okay, so what I want you to see is, like, normally regular internet marketing says that and a lot of you probably have seen this, that your open rates are normally between like 6 to 8% on average, and a real good open rate is like 12%. Like that's a phenomenal, amazing. And what I want you to see here is my follow-up process from the same psychology that I teach in the Epic Story Funnel. I crafted these emails myself, and you can see the one here top 56, the second one 36%, number 3 is 40%, number 4 is 56% again, number 5 is 32, number 6 is 44%, number 7 is 40, number 8 36, number 9 40. We're on the 10th email, we're at 30%, 11th is 20%. So it took till the 11th exposure to get to 20, which is still almost 3 times better than what anyone normally gets in marketing. And that's because the story came, this is specifically a list that came from my story ads that I did on Facebook that went to my bridge video that told another story, another part of my story, and my follow-ups were all about my team and my vision. Just like I said. Now you see the FAQ, like that's right there, FAQ, just like I said. And so you'll see like these are the immediates, like the double opt-in. This is the immediate, like here's what you need to do. 3 is like, the FAQ, and it starts, and then from there it's all the psychology. So all I wanted to do there was show you like this stuff works. Now, Max, I just want to get your feedback real quick. Email marketing, is as open rates and click-through rates and stuff like that to be. What's your take on that right there on those open rates?
I think that realistically, let's just put it this way, coming from the numbers that I've seen for most people and knowing what I normally get, that's insanely huge. And and you'll hear it all over. The money's in the list, you know what I mean? But if your list doesn't actually, and if you're doing email marketing and stuff, and if nobody actually opens your emails because you're just spamming them constantly with offers, you're just somebody that's just, you become basically listed as a spammer, compared to somebody that's actually building value and building content and giving value and helping people out and solving problems. Because I know that it's just, you follow certain people, and I mean, I'm a quick unsubscriber of somebody that just spams me links and spams me links and spams me links and doesn't actually give me any real connection, and I've actually, I was guilty of it at first. When I first started building my list, I was just, hey man, just buy now, it was just like, and you see them on social media too, where it's like somebody sends you a friend request and then all of a sudden it's like in your inbox, it's like, hey, buy, so, and you learn, and it's obviously, it's like the super, like, I don't know what I'm doing kind of marketing strategy. And I guess it works for some people when, but for the same time, it's like you don't actually build a real team. You can't build a team around that, because you're basically, what you're subliminally doing, if that's all you're doing, if that person actually signs up and joins with you, guess what they're going to do? Spam links. You know what I mean? Like you learn by watching the people that you follow. So you kind of learn what works and you learn what doesn't work. And I can tell you that if you're getting that kind of open rate for people that are responding and on your list, I mean, that's huge, because that just goes to show that what you're teaching works. And I know that, I mean, I had a buddy of mine that's like, we were talking online, he just signed up with me, and he's like, I want to learn copywriting. And I was like, you should actually learn how to not just copyright spam, you know what I mean? You should learn how to copyright stories and get people to connect in that sense, because there's just a way. I mean, you hear stories of people all the time where it's like, I had a guy that was on my list for 4 years before he opted in. I had people that, and then you hear other stories where it's the complete opposite, where it's like, this guy read my story once and just jumped on because he read the story and had such a huge connection with me. So, it's not like one specific story is going to be the make or break of your entire career, but it's like, it's a progression. And, you'll hear other people tell it too, where it's like, there are people that follow you almost because they want to see, they're like your online cheerleaders in a sense, where they just follow you and just kind of like watch you and they see the progression, because they want to see you just kind of like growing and developing and stuff. And there's some people that, some people it's just like seeing is believing. So if they see you come in and then as they could be following you for 2-3 months. I know, right? I'm loud and I ramble, but yeah, but basically they may want to see your consistency, your congruency, and your success. you know, and that's just going to get them to say, are we just on the same page or am I just rambling? Because you're laughing.
No, I totally get it. No, that's why I'm letting you ramble.
Okay, because I'm like, we're literally like, it's like, you
We
know.
still got some more to cover here, so.
I know, so I'm going to be quiet. So, all right, great.
Well, all that speaks to this word. What I'm talking about here is, because I'm vibing with you. I'm picking up what you're throwing down. And it's congruency. It's congruency where your story is seated in your exposures of your story and everything that you do and refer back to, and then your follow-ups have parts of your story and other parts of it, or other stories or stories of others, which is the same formula. And it gets fun because then it's like, wow, here's my perspective of this guy. And we can look at it the other way, where you do something what we call risk reversal, which we teach you how to do in the course too. But you can also go like, hey, if this idiot can do this, then I know I can do it. And you see, that story is like your perspective of someone else in comparison. When you see that one-armed, one-legged midget in a bikini crossing your company's primary company stage as a top producer, and you're like, okay, all right, what's it going to take? If they can do it, you know I can do it, and you can definitely do it too. So it's like the congruency and how these different stories line up. I teach my teams through stories. That's why they want to show up every week on our hangouts when we had our weekly hangouts, and they were there every week because I was always telling stories about people and edifying people and telling stories to illustrate concepts and things that help them build their business. And it's fun to listen to, and it's easier than, that's why it's like your parents read you bedtime stories, right? They get you present so that when you get present, you go, you know. That was supposed to be a joke. I thought it was fun, but whatever. Okay. So last point here is I'm going to teach you a quick technique on what needs to be accomplished psychologically to get people to open your emails. When they read your subject line, and we'll leave that magic to you. And once I give you these guidelines, it'll be easier for you to craft those. It's going to be their response when reading your subject line is going to be, what? So maybe a shocking headline that's like, this truth, like, you won't believe what they said. And you're like, what? What'd they say? So it's like, what? Or then it's, me? 3 things you need to know before, you know, your business, you know, you need to know for your business. Or, you know, the 7 deadly sins of marketing, you know, or like, or not that one, but like, you may be missing out on this, or did you know you needed this? And that's the person asking, wait, me? So it refers to them, it's like me. And so if you can get them to ask either what or me, and then it's either now. So it's like, hey, time sensitive, this thing goes away in an hour, it's done. And they're like, now? I got to get it now? You got to get it right now, it goes away. The offer's done, right? Or something like that. Like, it's happening right now. The live event is happening right now. The webcast is starting. The webinar is starting. And they're like, now? That's their response. Or, how? Those bastards, you won't believe what they did. And you're like, or how they did this. And you're like, how do they do that? How is that possible? If you can get them to respond to one of these 4, what, me, now, how, they're opening your emails. Max, keep it short.
It makes perfect sense. That's, you know, no, it makes perfect sense. I'm just gonna keep it short, so that makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, and so the psychology of what actually needs to be accomplished inside the email is inside the Epic Story Funnel. So remember you were talking about coaching and consulting earlier, Max?
Yeah, totally.
No, like people pay for that.
Yeah.
You happen to know what I charge for coaching, right?
$800 an hour.
$800 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and on larger contracts, we'll do 500 for, you know,
Overtime.
a set of hours and contracts. So,
Yeah.
but you know, right now, if someone wants like, so let's even do the contract rate. Let's say you're signing a contract with me and you get to learn all this stuff, and I'm giving you 20 hours. because that's what you're getting, and then some, because I still have to upload the psychology email training as well.
At
And
500
so
bucks an hour,
that's
that's 10 grand.
so 500 times
20 hours of training. That's about $10,000.
So let me get this right. 500 times 20 hours. And then there's going to be also, well, hold on. That's
Well, you
how
got
much?
bonus hours in there too.
That's what?
But then you got all the bonus stuff that you're adding in as well, the live event stuff and the hack stuff. So
Well, let's just nice round numbers, right? Because I mean, let's say it's not one-on-one, right?
yeah,
So this equals what? How much?
10 grand.
Okay. So hopefully you got a picture of that. Now the value here is not necessarily the utilitarian value, it's what the value will yield you, right? And so what's it gonna make, if you had to pay 500 bucks for something that's gonna make you 10,000, then you do it, right?
Totally.
Or get the value of it, right?
Totally.
So on top of these 20 hours, you guys know me, I never end there. And this course will continue to be perfected. And once you get on the inside, you get all of those updates for free, right? And so we've got, that's $10,000. And that was if you had one-on-one coaching with me. But here's what I found to be even more effective, is that when you went and implement this stuff and then you come back with questions. But what happens is when I've done group coaching and done Q&A webinars, when people have gone through the course material, people realize questions that are asked by other people that they didn't even know they should have asked, and it helps them even more. So everybody gets to benefit even more, and the value becomes even more than the questions you would have asked by yourself. And so I'm actually going to do that as a live Q&A webinar in a couple weeks for all of you, and that'll be a couple hours in there that's going to be live Q&A coaching for going through the Epic Story Funnel. We've actually never had a Q&A webinar for the Epic Story Funnel. We had one for the hack, but we didn't do one for the funnel. So this is going to be coaching call, group coaching that you get to be a part of. So it's like you're getting that value of coaching yourself, except it's being added to, and other people are asking questions and you're getting those questions answered for you as well. So it's a mastermind. It's mastermind coaching. So that's even more. So on top of that, 10 grand, you're getting a couple more hours of group coaching. And then whatever else we add, which is just even more. So that's your big bonus here also, is when you get this, you get to be a part of that Q&A webinar. And at $497, this is literally my gift to you. I want you all to know that. My motivation here, and all of you who know me well, that, you know, yeah, I have to keep you honest. Okay, so we did this. But what's in there is insane. And that's my gift to make the industry a better place. And so what my request to you, only don't get this if you're going to go scheme people, because this information can be used for a lot of negative ways too. You can go and make up this all this story stuff and all this. This is powerful stuff. But if you're going to be unethical or not full of integrity and make this industry a better place and build a team that lasts for yourself, if you're that stupid to where you are going to go do that and sabotage your own business by doing the stuff I teach against, that's on you. But please don't do it using my stuff. And damn sure don't reference me for helping you. But if you want to do this in an ethical way that you can feel good about every single day, being authentic and honest, not ever having to worry about, was there something I said that I lied about or didn't do right or didn't say, and people are looking at me weird, or that type of stuff, and you just get to be real with your own stuff. For this, the value in your life, not just your business and a monetary value, you can't get this type of value in your life from going to seminars that cost a couple $1,000s that have this type of psychological stuff happening. So that's a $497 till midnight Friday, Mountain Daylight Standard Time. 497. After that, it goes up to 697. Then eventually it's going to go to 797 at full price. Now, let's finish up these questions. We've got most of them. What does my story ultimately do that a system cannot? That's the system versus personality versus vision training that I have inside the Epic Story. What I'll tell you is this. A lot of people have actually argued like, hey, a personality-based approach doesn't work well because it doesn't duplicate. Well, guess what? I got news for you. You don't want duplication. Oh, yeah, I said that right. You want replication. You want results replicated. But it has never been in this industry, one of the biggest lies ever, is that people are going to duplicate and do exactly what you do in your way, copying you, doing it the same exact way, and it just duplicates perfectly. And the lie is that someone says, use this system, and then you do become totally, perfectly duplicatable. You know what? You do. And you also fall into those numbers of 97% failing. In 47 days, you're gone. You ever looked at it like that? So the real solution here is not just the system or you trying to be the superhero about this stuff. It's about utilizing both. You see, I make sure that my bridge video and my stories and all this stuff are congruent with the key benefits and features of my core offer of my primary opportunity. I tie it all in. So it's the best of both worlds. Not this black and white, right or wrong, one's better than the other. No, we're shifting. Just like Einstein said, you can't solve a problem at the same level of thinking that it was created at. And the system versus personality, it's a little misleading. It's system and personality. And inside the Epic Story Funnel, we show you how to work with a system, but also develop your personality. It's both, not just one or the other. So the real last question is, how does my story affect my brand?
Your story becomes your brand. You know what I mean? And it evolves with it.
Well, the cool thing is about your story becoming your brand is that it's always, just like you said, Max, it's always evolving. But here's something psychologically that a lot of people don't understand. See, some people don't want to relive their past. Some people don't want to go there. Some people have traumatic experiences that they don't want to go through at all. And so they're like, I don't want to tell my story. I don't want to go there. But guess what? If you go back and tell that story and then connect it to where you're going, and then you define where you're going as a better place that gets you out of that mess, and what you've learned from it is helping you create a better life, then what you're actually doing is reprogramming your own mind to not have the trauma attached to your past. And that frees you up and gives you real freedom to set yourself free in your mind and allow yourself to really be the change you want to see in the world, and be free to really discover who you are and how powerful you really are, who you really are, and then create whatever you want. It actually sets you free. Because telling that thing over and over again is reprogramming even your subconscious mind to look at it all differently. See, I know the lingo. I don't understand NLP like all the things, but I have friends who've kind of sat me down and been like, okay, this is this, a pattern interrupt, this type of thing. This is called reframing. And I think that NLP is useful for certain psychological things. I don't think it should ever be used for manipulation or coercion or getting someone to buy something to where they just have buyer's remorse later. But this particular part, I see how useful it is. And just by the mere fact of telling your story and creating the perspective you need from it, and also proclaiming where you're going and why you want it, and then showing why with your teaching of what you've learned as to how you're going to do it, is going to transform your subconscious mind, and you will literally be a different person. Do you want that? Whoever thought you'd get that inside of a marketing course?
Bam! Crazy.
So there's your 10 questions that people have always asked me. And just to recap, you also get this whole course inside of the other course that you get to follow along with. And so I don't really believe that I need to hard sell any of you here. My biggest intent is to get my message out there. But what I would say is I'd flip that also around to you. And this ain't for me. Whatever that's on you, between you and your maker, is your story is your message. It defines and gives context to where you've been to where you're going and who you're ultimately going to be. And if it's any of the things in this industry that we love, which is passive residual income, time freedom, and free from the things in your life that have bugged you, that have caused unhappiness, and this allows you to start creating those happy things in your life. Whatever that is for you. It may be a nice car. I love my Jeep, but I also love the friendships that I have and the relationships that I have from it and what I've learned from it and the kind of life I've created from it and the associations that I have and the growth that I get from it all. All those things are in store for you if you continue down this path. And learning this and growing in a way that most people will sit up and take notice, and just by your sheer presence, they're going to be moved. I see it all the time. And so this is my gift, but you owe it to your message. You owe it to your message, not mine, yours, to do this. And for that, this is really my gift. Because in a day and a half, we're making you honest. And here we're making you pay for it. And that's probably still, once it all gets back there, people are going to be like, I cannot believe I stole it for $7.97. Right now, you've got $10,000 worth of stuff, more bonus webinars. They're going to add up to even more. The Epic Story Hack, the application guide, the Q&A webinar. You get all of this and the home study course and a discount to Epic Story Academy when it comes out. So you can be there live and experience all of the things that people like Max did, like Jiyoung did, and everyone else who was there, that I'm sure they've put their comments in the chat as well, in the chat roll. And this is where you want to be. 2/3 discount. But you don't get that if you don't have the product. So what I want to do is see if there's any other questions in there right now, and we'll address them. And if not, get some parting thoughts here real quick, and we'll wrap it up. So looks like no questions. So, all right, Max, any last thoughts, bud?
I think that this is probably the best 3-hour hangout I've ever been on in my entire life. And just, this is just a taste of what's in the actual, you know, the actual funnel, like the Epic Story funnel product. But for just seeing, and it's always great when you see Chris like teach this stuff, because every time he teaches it, like it's always the same kind of thing, but it's always a little different, where it's just like there's some little, and you're just like, oh, that's, and yeah, I mean, guys, for those of you guys that haven't bought it already, you need to get it. And Chris, once again, I'm honored, and thank you very much for inviting me on for this, because this is just super cool to be on this. But yeah, I mean, like let's just put it this way. I've had some minor breakthroughs, like going through other trainings and other products, but I can honestly say that the most breakthroughs I've ever had in one training course or module or anything was simply just through this. And every time I go through it, it's just like, it's more and more, and it just gets better and better. And I've basically been able to tweak everything that I was doing in my marketing to get such clarity and, you know, just clairvoyance, in the sense to where it's like I know exactly what I'm doing and what and there's a lot of power in this, but it's like, you know what to do, and that's the thing. It basically, it takes all those, like, I'm not really sure what to do, I'm not really sure how to do it, it literally just like simplifies it and streamlines it all down to a very simple template. You know what I mean? And it's all in the hack. So that's it, guys. You know, and it just buy now. You know, just get it, and seriously, don't kick yourself in the ass later for not getting it. And you know, there is no, and it's worth it in that sense, because this is an investment in yourself, it's an investment in your business, it's an investment in your future, and everything else. So anyway, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Max. No, I really appreciate it. You brought a lot of value here and a lot of perspective to it that I very much appreciate.
I appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely. And I knew then when we got on that first hangout, I was like, oh yeah, me and you are going to be great friends. I knew it.
Absolutely.
As much as you ramble and I ramble, we could literally probably ramble all day long.
We could go for a filibuster, you know, like the world's longest webinar, and see if we could go for like 4 days straight. Just
the world's longest webinar.
That's a Guinness Book of World Records to go for right there. Like the world's longest valuable webinar, where it's like you just continuously hit people with nuggets, and then you can just blast out. It's like, we're still going, guys. Get back on this. I know you fell asleep, but jump on. We're still going.
You know,
later.
Dude, it's like, you know, one last quick story, and I'll close with this. I had an experience where I saw people close to me go off and act like they were people's saviors. And they would say that they're going to do all the selling for you, and they parlayed themselves with actual lies about income claims. I actually know that to be true for sure. Verify. And I watched and I sat back and I wondered if people were going to be that naive. At least I thought, because I have experience and perspective in the business to see that kind of thing come and go all the time. And these people that did it, I love these people. Loved them. Put a lot of heart and time into them. And they went down this path of fear and desperation and created this thing where they saw dollar signs in their eyes, and they forgot about everything else that mattered in their life. And they started saying lies, false income claims, anything to get people to believe that they were now the saviors and the superheroes that were going to lead all of them to the promised land. And I watched in horror as I lost a good portion of my team to them. And I knew there was no way it could survive, that it was not sustainable. Every red flag imaginable, like checklist, red flag, textbook, scam. I was horrified as I watched it. And there were times when even I was in tears about it. And the people close to me know how I anguished over that, because I did not want to spread a message of negativity and fear and start saying, hey, this person is screwing you over, this is bad, and being the one that's pointing the finger. Because then how much better would I be? I'm starting negativity. And as a leader, I didn't want to do that. So I stayed the course and I led. And I led the people that would still follow me, which were still a lot. And I kept on speaking my truth and giving people realistic expectations, even when the deal didn't seem as sweet as that too good to be true deal that they had. And I knew they had no business being in business. They didn't know how to run businesses. I knew too much about them both. You know, that deal obviously went south. And they folded. And they're nowhere to be heard from now. They're not even on the internet. They haven't logged into Facebook. They're ghosts. And most of my team came back to me and said, Chris, we should have never left. Now we understand why you were always preaching the same thing, saying the same thing as you were yesterday, as you are today, and as you've now proven that you will be tomorrow. And I saw all of this and I realized I can't sit back and not say anything anymore. But it's not like I'm going to go and bash them and name names and start getting into it and getting into the energy and putting my focus there, because that's just going to be worse for me, and I don't recommend you do either. But why I'm telling you this is that for me, it lit a fire under me. And I resolved to say, okay, well, look at all the things, how you're not supposed to do it. I am going to teach people how you are supposed to do it. A way that actually lasts. A way that actually creates that real dream we've always been looking for. That's what I'm going to do for people. I've done it for myself. I know how to teach it. Now it feels more like a duty, a right, an honor, and yes, in a weird way, an obligation to show people how to do this. Because I'd rather have more people a part of the solution than more people of the problem. And so because of that story, because of where I've been, and witnessing that and going through that and the anguish I dealt with and the pain and frustration as I watched my team members, the people I brought in, go astray, be led astray and spend more money on stuff that didn't work and go into debt. I watched it and I can't sit back and not do anything about it anymore. And I looked at myself and I said, what has worked for me? And it was my story. All about being real, all about being authentic, all about doing the right thing, and also doing it in an effective way that builds my business at the same time, because it's about the best of both worlds, not either or. And that's how the Epic Story Funnel was born. And this movement, because it is, you should see the people, oh my God, in the chat, the Epic Story Academy, they are fanatical. They want to be a part of this movement. And it's just starting, and we're just getting started. And I invite you to be a part of this movement that's going to revolutionize and change the industry. And do you want to be on the forefront of that and be an agent for change? And at the same time, accomplish all of the dreams that you've actually had since the beginning when you really got into this business. And that's the opportunity that we offer you here, if you're willing to learn it inside those modules. And God willing, you know that I'm going to do everything in my power to enable you and teach you how to do that as well. Because this doesn't end. It's just beginning. I invite you to click that button below. Get the Epic Story Funnel. Get it before the price goes up. It's my gift to you. Lock arms with us. Run with us. Join this movement. Be a part of this. And realize and see the benefits that continue to keep giving for you as a result of learning and implementing all the stuff that has taken me through this industry for over 16 years that I've now bringing to you. So with that, do what you wish, do what you will. We'll see you on the inside. Love you all. Good night.